A Thursday edition of the Sports Bash starts right now. 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, and watch the show live on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel and on the X platform at Mike Gill Show. What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Mike Gill. Josh Hennings producing today's show. You out there on a day where there's a lot happening around the Birds, not a lot with the Eagles. Got to be honest. Do we like how Howie Roseman's playing this? We asked a poll question on yesterday's show, and for those of you who didn't hear the results, yesterday we asked you, do you like the way that Howie Roseman has kind of played this offseason so far? Do you like the way that Howie Roseman is working this offseason? Yes, no, or indifferent? Well, 46% said yes, they like the offseason so far. 6% said no, they did not. And 46% said they are indifferent so far. So most people either like what's going on or kind of indifferent. Only 6% said no, they don't like the offseason so far, which I give a lot of people credit. You like it or you're indifferent. In other words, they haven't won much, but I'm not going to kill them for it. Or, yeah, I like the way that things are going, and you anticipate something big happening. So what could that big thing to happen, what could it be? Well, there are a bunch of ideas that you might have popping into your head, and I have a few myself. You know, Woolen is the first chip, and Woolen, listen, is a very good player, and Woolen is a guy who's a starting player. He will be a starter. He will be the starting cornerback. It would be pretty shocking if he, did not start opposite Quinyon Mitchell. He becomes really forms a really good team at the cornerback position. It's a one-year deal worth up to $15 million. He's a member of the Super Bowl team. You get a starting player so far in free agency. Now, you've lost a starting player, 3 of them. 1 you've replaced. However, Vic Fangio gave us a little revelation yesterday. He was just kind of doing a walk and talk, kind of. He did stop, but he got a chance to catch up with John Clark from NBC Sports Philadelphia, and he revealed something regarding Jahad Campbell that I thought was very interesting. And for those people out there that did not hear it, here is what Vic Fangio said about the guy who was slated to replace Nakobe Dean, who was officially signed with the Vegas Raiders. Here is what Fangio told John Clark.
Well, he's got to be ready, and we got to do a good job getting him ready. He is dealing with a shoulder injury. He's going to miss probably most of the offseason. So we're going to have to cram it into him in training camp, and hopefully we have enough work to get that done for him.
So there's a lot there. One, he said, hey, he's got to replace Nakobe Dean. Is he ready? He said, well, he's got to be ready. We don't have another choice. He's the only guy right now that we have. He's got to be ready. But the caveat is he has a shoulder injury, and he will not be ready for any of the offseason stuff, which means we're going to have to cram it in here to get him up to speed. Interesting. This is a shoulder injury for a guy who probably has to use his shoulder a lot. I don't like to hear the old shoulder injury stuff. We saw last year what it did to Jalen Carter. He missed some games with his shoulder problem, and now Campbell has a shoulder problem. That's what Vic Fangio told John Clark yesterday. So that's the first thing. Dean is officially in Vegas. That whole Max Crosby thing. Some people had wondered whether or not the Crosby thing might mean Dean would be the odd man out or one of the guys they signed. That did not happen. Dean officially signed his contract yesterday with the Raiders. Then you have the Reed Blankenship signing. He goes to Houston. And in Philadelphia's case, they need a safety. They do not have a Jahad Campbell on the roster. They don't have a guy that they can say, okay, next man up. And you can make a strong case that you might need 2 safeties. Yes, Drew Makuba should be back from the injury, But now that he's had a season-ending injury, I might have to account for the fact that he might not be a guy that I can count on for health. So there are some safeties that are still available on the market. And I would think you could find someone that could be comparable to Reed Blankenship. So that is something that I think if Howie Roseman just kind of waits around, he could probably replace Reed Blankenship with an adequate replacement. And then there's Jalen Phillips. Phillips is gone, $30 million, Carolina, no problem here. Not arguing with you to let him walk. As Vic Fangio pointed out, they wanted Phillips to come back, but the price tag got a little bit too much for them. I mean, essentially, Fangio admitted that. They wanted to keep Phillips, but the price tag was just too much. Here's what Vic Fangio told John Clark.
You know, Jalen's a hell of a player, as you saw Carolina thought so too with the amount of money they paid him. We were trying hard to keep him, but it got a bit too expensive, and I wish him nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah, he laughed at what Carolina paid him. What Carolina paid him. Jeez. He was like, it got a little expensive. You know, could not justify it. And we all agree. So how do they replace Jalen Phillips? The Dean one, I think they can replace with Jahai Campbell. The Blankenship one, I think they can replace. I think they'll find someone. I'm not sure who that is. Brisker, somebody else. They go out and, find a guy to play safety that will be comparable to Reed Blankenship. And that doesn't mean that Reed Blankenship's not any good. I think Reed Blankenship was solid here. He did his job. He knew his role. But I do think they can find a guy to be comparable to Blankenship. I think they have upgraded at corner. Woolen, better than Adoree. But how do they get the impactful guy to replace Jalen Phillips? BC in Bowers Beach checks in on the White Horse RV text board. I trust Howie. BC, we have to. We don't have much of a choice here, right? But no, I do agree. That's why the poll question yesterday, I tend to agree with the answers. Do I like the way the offseason has gone? Yes, or I'm indifferent. The no's, I'm proud of these people. Not the people that voted no. The fact that the no's only got under 7% of the answers. The people who voted no want to see a flurry of activity. The people who voted yes or indifferent are putting their trust into Roseman to say, yes, we lost a couple guys, but I trust that they'll replenish. And I think the messaging is already there. Woolen, I tweeted this out, and it's got a ton of social media activity. I didn't realize such a, unassuming tweet would have gotten so much activity. But I really mean this when I say this, right? I'm kind of looking at what's going on, and the offseason's getting off to a weird start here. And I basically just said pretty simply that I think the Eagles' defense in 2026 will be better than the Eagles' defense was in 2025. Fair or unfair? Well, the amount of activity that this tweet has gotten seems to think that either people agree with me or they're trying to make sure that it gets on freezing cold takes at some point. A couple comments. Jeff says, if they can land a legit edge rusher via trade, free agency, draft, I totally agree. Somebody else says, yes, more balanced. Here's why I think they'll be better. Okay? This is why I think the Eagles' defense this year will be better than the Eagles' defense last year. One, I think Woolen is a significant upgrade over Adoree Jackson. When you had games that you had some problems, it's because teams kind of targeted Adoree Jackson. And I think Woolen is a playmaker. I think Woolen will make this secondary much better. That's one. Two, losing Blankenship, I'm not saying, yes, they got rid of this Blankenship guy. But what I do think is that Howie will find a suitable replacement. So I think he'll be comparable at that spot. I think Campbell is comparable to Dean. So I don't think you're going to have this awful drop-off there. And then you might say, well, you're not getting a better guy than Phillips. I'll believe it when I see it. I think the Eagles know that they have to get something there. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be better than Phillips right off the bat, but if they could just get somebody that's a very good pass rusher, and I don't know what that means. I don't know who that could be. It's not going to be Trey Henderson, but could it be Max Crosby? Could there be, Jonathan Grenard? If they end up getting him from Minnesota, is that good enough? But I think the Woolen deal, getting that cornerback spot, solidifies that back end and gives them maybe the best secondary, at least corner group. Q, Coop, Woolen. That's a pretty impressive room right there. Bill in Ocean City says, remember, they started the season without Phillips last year. He goes on to say, I trust Hal. Yeah, they went on. The only thing I would say to that, Bill, is, yes, they did start the season without Phillips last year. I don't think they want to do that again this year. Although Brandon Graham has said that he anticipates that he will play this year. So maybe Brandon Graham comes back, and I don't know how he would factor in. He did most of his work as a interior pass rusher, but he did have a pretty good, solid season. So that's where we start today as free agency goes on. By the way, the Eagles have just signed their punter, Braden Mann. He gets a 4-year, $14 million extension, which includes $7 million guaranteed to return. And that's a, pretty interesting big move. Like some people would say, but punters and kickers have been getting a ton of money in free agency. Look at the amount of money punters and kickers have been getting. Let's see. What about a reunion with Josh Sweat? I did read something about that. I don't know how credible that was, that he had asked for a trade out of Arizona. If that's the case, I'd go down that road. I don't mind Josh Sweat coming back. Josh, can you look to see if there's anybody else reporting anything on Josh Sweat? Because I did read something on Josh Sweat. I didn't know how credible the sourcing was, and that's why I really haven't talked too much about it. But somebody asked about that possibility. Listen, anybody that's out there that you can kick the tires on. By the way, the Bengals are expected to sign two-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, who played for the Vikings last year and had a pretty good year for Minnesota. He gets a 2-year, $28 million deal. And the Bengals are really reshaping their defense, right? Boye Mafe, right? And now Jonathan Allen. And they got Cook. So they have really gone out there, the Bengals, to try to upgrade a defense that was just heinous last year. So Mafe, Brian Cook, and now Jonathan Allen, all in Cincinnati. And I say, the big news today, the big news for Philadelphia. And listen, it is kind of big news. The Eagles and free agent punter, Braden Mann, he is back for a 4-year, $14 million extension. And look, in the world today that we live in, with kickers and punters and flipping the field, and the punter is pretty key. And I'm glad to see they were able to get him back. He did a really good job. 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. What do you got on Josh Sweat?
So I'm seeing conflicting reports from different people online right now, but nothing from the main people. So there's no, Zach Berman, Diana Rossini, no Schefter, no Fowler, no Rappaport.
Well, is there anything coming out of the Arizona beat guys?
No.
Yeah, I haven't really seen anything there.
I checked Josh Weinfuss. He covers the Cardinals for ESPN. He hasn't reported
I wouldn't be shocked, though. I'll tell you that. Jonathan Gannon's not there anymore. The team's not very good. Maybe Josh Sweat decides, but I have not seen anything concrete on that just
yet.
I'm
right now I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, okay? But I'm just saying it this way for just clarity purposes. I'm seeing people with blue check marks who I've never heard of arguing about it back and forth.
All right. Well, listen, if he did say it, great. I right now I don't put a lot of stock into what I've seen out there on him. But at this point, I think that the Eagles, and this goes back to the poll question, what about what Howie's doing? You trust the fact that he's making all the calls. So he's going up and down every guy and says, listen, do you have an edge rusher who you are interested in getting out of? If they're a team that is out there that has an edge rusher that they are saying, we don't want to pay this guy. And I'm sure Howie Roseman is going up and down that list and making sure that he kicks the tires on every single guy.
Yeah, to me, it's less about who literally reported the idea than it is about the fact that I guarantee you if the guy is available, Howie's already made the call, right? I think that's what the bigger point is. That
Well, things probably, you're right. I definitely agree with what you just said, that Howie has made the call and said, hey, do you have an edge guy that you're interested in moving? That's why Jonathan Grenard's name has been connected. By the way, somebody just texted in. This is Jim in Williamstown. He says, you guys think we should be concerned with the fact that Campbell has a shoulder issue again? Jeff McClain tweeted 17 minutes ago that he has a little more context on Jahad Campbell's shoulder injury, which the Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio told John Clark would keep the second-year linebacker out for most of the season. He says Campbell dealt with the injury for most of his rookie season, despite undergoing surgery before last year's draft. He dropped to the Eagles at 31, partly due to concerns from that shoulder. He still played in every game in his first season. He had another surgery not long after the season, and he's already on the mend. He is expected back by training camp, and he is slated to step in to the off-ball linebacker spot when Nakobe Dean signed. So, that being said, it sounds like it's a lot from the injury he had from college that got him dropped in the draft. He had surgery on it again after the season, Jim. But you think we should be concerned that he has the issue again? Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Is this guy going to have constant shoulder problems that he had to have surgery after the season for an injury that he had in college?
And I will say, even if you have constant problems, it may not prevent him from being a very good player for years to come. It's just kind of like the whole situation. I'm not saying it's apples to apples, but, you know, Dallas Goedert has been injured off and on throughout his entire Eagles career. I don't think anyone is less interested in Dallas Goedert. They just want him at a certain price tag, right?
Yeah, but I think when that question has to do with an injury that's lingering, the same one. Goddard's had a multitude of injuries.
Yeah, his whole body.
This one is, hey, it's the same injury that he had in college that had him drop to you in the draft. And listen, now you're seeing a situation with Jalen Carter. He missed games last year with shoulder problems. So now this is a second guy on the team that's having these shoulder issues. 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. Mike, how about the team of pizza makers last night? That's a Nore, baby. That's a Nore. Aaron Nola pitched well in the game. That's something that we should really take a dive into. We are going to dive into that a little deeper later on in the show. But how about that? Aaron Nola, I mean, the Mexico team is okay. They're not great. But they challenged Team USA the day before and, you know, performed pretty well. And Nola went through their lineup, didn't give up a run. By the way, some good news on the Phillies. Rob Thompson said earlier today that Zach Wheeler is getting close to a ramp-up and that he believes that Wheeler could pitch in April. And he said he would not be surprised if Wheeler pitched in a game before the end of spring training. Not in a spring training game, but like a camp game, one of those backfield games. So Wheeler getting close to his 6-week ramp-up. And that's great. That's a great story. It's great news. But I do want to go back, to Nola real quick. Nola last night shut out Team Mexico for 5 innings. And it's the best that he's looked probably for the longest. He's had a couple of games where he's only pitched 2 innings, and you're like, okay. But for him to go 5 shutout innings, now I don't know what the, I've said about Nola, I think Nola will be Nola. What does that mean? 3.80 ERA, give you 18 really good starts, probably 10 starts that you're like, oh my gosh. And then the rest of the starts are just kind of mediocre. So I think you get 18 really good starts, you probably get 10 clunkers, and then the rest of the starts are kind of in the middle, like quality starts, where you're like, he was okay last night. But I think you're going to get a lot of starts where Nola's Nola. You're going to get your 10 starts where he gives up the 3-run bomb after the team's up 3-0. And then you get a bunch of other starts that are just kind of in the middle. And he turns out to be, 8-9, 9-8 with a 3.80 ERA. And he's just Aaron Nola. He's solid. By the way, Christopher Sanchez will start tomorrow for the Dominican Republic against Korea. They have moved on to the quarterfinal round. Dominican has the DR. Christopher Sanchez will pitch that game. But, yes, Italy did win last night, which means the United States has moved on. And that means they will play Canada tomorrow night. It will be Canada, U.S. I heard they get along pretty well.
I think Canada would love to take the U.S. out in their sport.
Right? So USA beats Canada in hockey. Could Canada beat USA in baseball? That would be a flip, right?
That'd be wild.
You guys are now the baseball country. We're now the hockey country. By the way, the Phillies have reassigned Aiden Miller, was among a bunch of players that got reassigned to minor league camp. And you might say, wow, that's interesting. They never gave him a look. Well, he had this back problem, so he never got a chance to play at all in spring training, which I think is really disappointing that he never got an opportunity to play in any spring training games at all. So this, to me, is definitely something that is a speed bump for Miller to help this team out this year.
Which young player's lingering problem is more concerning to you long term? Is it Miller's back or Campbell's shoulder?
That's a good question. I mean, probably, backs are problematic. And he's this young with this back problem that he couldn't play at all in spring training. I mean, Campbell, he got the surgery. He did play last year. Didn't miss time because of the surgery at all. So I'll probably go a back, but I'm not overly concerned about either. By the way, did you see Bob Nightingale tweeted this out about an hour ago? We talked a lot about this yesterday, that Mark DeRosa reiterated that he misspoke on TV, but he knew that they had to beat Italy.
I don't care. I don't care if he DeRosa can say whatever he wants. The reality is that he didn't know, someone corrected him, and now he's trying to, cover it up.
I'm just saying. So the fact that he has now come out the next day and said this is him understanding that he really screwed up. But it goes back to what I said yesterday. He may not have known at 9:30 in the morning when that interview happened, but by the time he got off the TV, he was well aware, right?
He was well-informed, well-educated.
Yeah, they definitely let him know by the time he got off that television. So that's what I said. He might not have known at 9:30. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that. He knew. He knew by the time he got off. All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, live video streaming on the X platform at Mike Gill Show, on YouTube, 97.3 ESPN. Be a part of the show. If you're watching on YouTube right now, you have bonus chances to enter for a Phillies-Orioles bus trip to see the Phillies play at Camden Yards. Watch the show on YouTube for bonus chances and follow our social media pages, 97.3 ESPN, on Instagram, on the X platform, and on Facebook. And all the directions for you to qualify will be there. If you're listening on the radio, listen for our famous contest sounder this hour. And we're going to enter more people today for that Phillies-Orioles bus trip to see the Phillies play Baltimore at Camden Yards. Our opening day watch party, we're going to be live at the Anchorage in Summers Point. Wear your Phillies gear, and one lucky winner will be selected to go with round trip transportation on the deluxe motor coach, which departs on Friday right around noon. So you're going to have time to hang out in Baltimore as well, and I can give you some great spots to go to. Make sure you get a pizza down there at Isabella's while you're there. Lower-level tickets to the game. You'll be seated with a group of Phillies fans. You get plenty of time to hang out the Inner Harbor and Camden Yards area before the game. You'll get fed on the bus down there. You get a sub, pretzel, some drinks before the game, and, of course, you must be present to win at the Anchorage, 823 Bay Avenue in Summers Point. All right, more coming up on the other side. Another Sixer has been ruled out for the game tonight. This is on top of Kelly Oubre getting hurt. This is on top of Maxey. This is on top of Joel Embiid. You might say, who the hell is left to get hurt? Well, somebody else is out tonight, and somebody else has been downgraded to questionable. Should the Sixers tank? Adam Aaronson from Philly Voice. Sixers Adam joins me next. All right, 2:32. Listen for your opportunity to score tickets to go see the Phillies play the Orioles at Camden Yards. Your chance is coming this hour on the Sports Bash. We told you earlier, another Sixer is out for the game tonight. You might be like, how many more guys they have left? Well, Oubre's out. That was announced yesterday. We know Embiid is out. That happens every other day. Maxey is out. We know George is suspended. Who else could actually miss the game? Well, Adam Aaronson, PhillyVoice.com, at Sixers Adam, joins us right now with an update on the latest Sixer injury. And it could be multiple guys that play the same position who are missing the game tonight against the Detroit Pistons, which could lead into a whole nother conversation with Adam. Adam, welcome back, man. What's going on?
Thank you for having me.
So Adem Bona will not play tonight. He's got back stiffness or soreness, and it looks like Andre Drummond has been downgraded with back spasms. So how many guys are available for this game tonight against the Pistons?
Not a whole lot would be the easiest way to answer that question. It almost might be easier to list off players that will be available than the ones that are hurt. Particularly at center, the Sixers are going to be at least without Joel Embiid, Adem Bona, and Janai Broom, the rookie who was effectively their fourth string center, and he tore his meniscus last month. And Andre Drummond, as you said, is downgraded. He's now questionable with back spasms. If he doesn't go, the Sixers are not going to have any centers against what is probably the deepest center rotation in the NBA in Detroit, where they have an all-star in Jalen Duren. They have probably the best backup center in the NBA in Isaiah Stewart. And then they have probably the best third-string center in the NBA, our old friend Paul Reed, B-Ball Paul. And the Sixers will probably turn to Dominic Barlow and Jabari Walker to man small ball five roles for basically the entire night. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing in a general sense. I think both of those guys are up for that task generally, but this is probably not an ideal matchup for it. You would rather do that against smaller teams. Detroit, very much not a smaller team.
Nope. And as you mentioned, they are basically, if Drummond doesn't play, they would not have an actual center on the roster. What about the actual center, Adam? What do we know about his availability? I know they said they'll check back in on him, but do you have any anticipation the way this season is starting to go that we might see Joel come back by himself, like without Maxey, no Paul George? Do we think that they would have Embiid out there playing with this team, or are they starting to look around and wonder, maybe we should keep these guys out a little bit longer?
I think when the team and Joel Embiid both are in agreement that he's able to play and that he's not at risk of re-injury and that he can play through whatever pain he might be dealing with, I think he's going to play. I think he's done more than enough sitting over the last couple of years that if he has a chance to be out there, he's going to push to be out there as long as it's seen as within reason. I don't think that there is a late season tank coming here. I just wrote about this at PhillyVoice.com today because the Sixers do once again owe their first round pick to Oklahoma City unless it falls into a certain range. This year it's top 4. Last year it was top 6. Some people have called for the team to just throw in the towel, try to tank through the season, maximize their odds of getting a top pick. I don't see that happening for a bunch of reasons, including the fact that they've just banked too many wins at this point. They're 35-30 to give themselves more than a remote chance at keeping their pick. So I think as hard as it is to fathom them actually accomplishing it, today, I think the goal remains trying to make a playoff push, whether that's giving themselves the best positioning they can within the play-in tournament and that 7 to 10 mix, because 10 is realistically their floor. I think they're 7.5 games ahead of the 11 seed Bucks. Or if that's trying to make a push back for the 5th or 6th seed. Would I bet on them getting a surefire playoff bid? I wouldn't. But I think the Sixers don't really have another option besides just going for it. And I think everybody would agree that they have a better chance of doing that if they get Embiid back on the floor soon. The question is, when is that actually going to happen? I would expect that we will get an update either tomorrow or Saturday. The Sixers said they'd have an update in approximately 1 week last Friday. So we'll see what happens on that front. But it's going to be a major uphill battle any night that they're without both him and Maxey for the time being, even once they get Paul George back, which is still almost 2 weeks away. He's not back until March 25th.
Right, Adam Aaronson is with us. Sixers playing against the Pistons, a huge uphill battle, even at full strength, let alone with what they're looking at right now. The way you kind of mapped it out, yes, I have heard the cries for, hey, many people say I can see that because it's going to be hard to fathom that they would fall to the 11th spot. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that they could be in the 10th spot, and that if you were to lose that game, you fall into the lottery, correct? And then you have a pretty small percentage chance to get into the top 4, although Dallas did do that last year.
Yeah, so, and this is what I wrote about at Philly Voice this morning, is the absolute best case scenario that I could see for people who want the Sixers to tank the rest of the season, lose as many games as they can, lose in the play-in, get into the draft lottery. To me, the best realistic outcome is that they finish 11th in the lottery standings, which is the spot that Dallas jumped up from to get Cooper Flagg last year after losing in the play-in. If the Sixers end up 11th in the lottery standings, they will have a 9.4% chance of getting a top 4 pick. So we're talking about potentially spending the last 5 weeks of the season in an all-out tanking effort, trying to get below 5 different teams, I believe, that are currently ahead of them in the standings, also that they can have not even a 1 in 10 chance of keeping their pick. And I understand that some people might say a 9.4% chance of getting a top 4 pick is better than whatever chance the Sixers have of doing anything of significance in the playoffs this year. And I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't really think that it's a realistic ask right now or a realistic expectation. And I think particularly as the NBA has taken more of a hardline stance against tanking of late, this would be about as brazen and blatant of a tanking effort as there's been in the league in years. To me, that would rival like what, everybody knows what the Utah Jazz are doing right now. And I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that the NBA would come down hard on the Sixers who have committed violations before and have been fined, whether it was for tampering with PJ Tucker or injury reporting violations regarding Joel Embiid. I don't think it's a realistic expectation for them to tank, but it is a silver lining if the season goes off the rails in the way that it feels like it is right now, that at least maybe they'll have a puncher's chance at keeping this pick. And that would be, it would be just as valuable as when they kept their pick last year, if not more, and got VJ Edgecombe.
This is a really good draft. In fact, it's probably, last year you got Cooper Flagg, you got Con Knipple, you got VJ Edgecombe, and many others. Some people believe that this draft is exponentially better, at least at this point, than you thought last year's draft was at this point. That being said, they might not have to try to tank, Adam, with this lineup. I mean, I just looked at the schedule they got coming up. I mean, they have 6 teams left that are, in fact, tanking, but they are spread out throughout the schedule, and they've got matchups with Detroit multiple times. They got the Spurs again coming up. You're playing Minnesota. I mean, they've got a minefield of games. Denver, they might not have to try hard to tank here. I mean, it's unfortunate with the injury situation here, but what is the morale like in that locker room after all this stuff that is happening?
I can't imagine that there's a ton of optimism in there right now because everybody knows what's going on. Everybody can see just in terms of sheer payroll. Like the Sixers have more than the NBA salary cap's worth of contracts given to players that are out either right now or for the foreseeable future. And it doesn't mean that they're not going to give their best effort and that they don't, have belief in themselves and each other. But I think it would be silly to act as if everybody can't see what's happening here. I mean, this is just over and over the most important players on the team going down with injuries. They finally get one back with VJ Edgecombe returning the other night. A half hour before that game starts, news breaks that Maxey is going to miss at least 3 weeks because he has a tendon injury in his right pinky finger, which he also hurt last year, which is pretty troubling. And then within that game where Edgecombe comes back, Kelly Oubre goes down and he's going to be out at least 2 weeks with an LCL sprain in his left elbow. It's unrelenting, this injury bug, and the Sixers seem to finally shed it for a little bit early in the season. Then Paul George got suspended and they were not at full strength anymore, but not for the usual reason. And now with George aiming to get back soon or primed to get back soon, he'll be eligible on March 25. the whole thing has fallen off the rails again with injuries, and it's just become the same old story, and it is not exclusive to Joel Embiid, even though he has, for obvious reasons and probably rightfully, become sort of the poster child of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I know that Joel, very frustrating with the fact that, this is a completely different injury, not related to the knee. This was something that was kind of a freakish thing. The Maxey thing, that's a freakish thing. Oubre, I mean, he, hurts his elbow. These things have just seemed to be snake bitten in this team here. And obviously the same thing with Edgecombe. He goes down against the Spurs in that game. The lumbar thing, he actually came back sooner than I thought with that thing. But obviously they are up against it at this point here, and they'll play the Pistons tonight. You can listen to that game on 97.3 ESPN. And Adam, I know the probabilities are not great, but you're right. They don't own their own draft pick. The backlash from the McCain thing, of course, is almost still lingering, but the one positive is at least they do now have a first-round pick because of that trade, which I guess becomes a lot more valuable now the way this season is starting to veer off to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there are a lot of people whose counterpoint to that would be, well, if this team isn't going anywhere, why trade a 21-year-old and try to, quote-unquote, sell high on his value when you could have just kept him and continued trying to develop him into a future piece? And I don't necessarily disagree with those people, but it is nice when you look at, because this roster, as far as the salary cap is concerned, there's not a ton of maneuverability unless there's a team that is willing to make a trade for Joel Embiid or Paul George, which, given the size of both of their contracts, I think with Embiid it's impossible. With George, I think it's pretty close to impossible unless the Sixers are giving up a ton of assets in addition to George just to get rid of them and probably take on bad contracts instead of him. Unless that happens, this roster is probably going to be pretty similar next year. Yeah. And that's like, you look at the Phillies, for example, who have objectively had great teams that have won lots of games, that have won 2 division titles in a row. And I believe this is rightful as well, but there's a lot of frustration that team has, quote unquote, run it back as many times as they have. I think we're looking at a much more daunting version of that, where the Sixers might be forced to run back a team that has had not even close to the same level of success as this Phillies group.
Adam Aaronson, PhillyVoice.com @Sixers. Adam, I will ask, the McCain stuff, which obviously is continuously going because he has played very well. They have found minutes for him. Why do you think it has worked out for him in Oklahoma City and did not work very well for him, at least this season here?
Well, some of it is just McCain's gradual progression coming off first the meniscus repair, which you have to remember is a much more significant surgery than the meniscus trim. It's that, a trim might be 6 weeks, a repair might be 8 months. For McCain, it was close to a year. And then obviously also tearing the UCL in his right thumb the day before media day. And his shot was messed up for a long time before that. I think part of it is just flatly that McCain has played a lot better. And I think we were starting to see him break through in his last 4 or 5 games with the Sixers. He had, there was a game in Charlotte where they were getting pummeled and he hit 4 threes in garbage time. And then the next night they played at home and he was great, I believe, against Milwaukee. He had a couple more standout performances before the trade. I think most of it is just McCain playing a lot better, but I think it would be silly not to at least mention the fact that this is a player with a pretty unique skill set, including his ability to relocate off the ball, to shoot off of screens, to shoot on the move. This is someone who, when you have a skill set like that, you want to utilize it. Last year, it felt like the Sixers, especially when guys were hurt, really tapped into McCain's unique skill set early in the season, and that's when he became the front runner for Rookie of the Year, as everybody remembers. It felt like the Sixers never really tapped into those gifts that he had early on this year, and the whole thing just sort of snowballed, and it became harder to justify playing him because they had so many guys who needed the ball, and they needed guys to defend around them, and McCain just was not playing well. And you look at what he's doing in Oklahoma City, he looks a lot like the guy that thrived with the Sixers last year. You see him, pass the ball and then cut to the opposite corner and then get an open 3-point shot out of it. You see him playing off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and those two screening for each other. And the whole thing looks pretty remarkable in terms of how cleanly he's fit there. So I think the main reason, again, is that McCain is playing a lot better in Oklahoma City than he was early in the season here. But I also think there's an obvious whether you want to say coaching or just overall usage component to it too, that I think has made Oklahoma City a much better environment for McCain.
All right, good stuff. Adam Aaronson. Of course, you can check out Adam's stuff at Sixers Adam on the X platform. Does a great job for PhillyVoice.com through a challenging. It was a fun season. This was like a fun, unexpected, fun season, and it is just wham, hit the walls pretty bad and pretty hard. I mean, this is a painful watch all of a sudden, but we'll see if they can get it back on track. They'll play the Pistons tonight right here on 97.3 ESPN. They have the Nets, who are, kind of tanking on Saturday. They'll play the Blazers, who are the 10 seed out west. Then Denver. The Kings are a tanking team, so we'll see how they navigate the next week of hoops here. Adam, thanks, bud.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
And there's Adam Aaronson from PhillyVoice.com. Make sure you follow him at Sixers Adam. He does a great job with clips and all sorts of stuff if you want to see some more from him. All right, coming up, more Sports Bash on the way, plus the Nuggets today at 4:30, back at its normal time. Stick around, the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. And there is our 97.3 ESPN famous contest sounder, and I need caller 7 right now, 609-573-3776. You could win a pair of tickets to see the Phillies-Orioles game at Camden Yards in Baltimore. The Sports Bash will be live at the Anchorage in Summers Point for opening day, our annual Phillies opening day watch party on Thursday, March 26th. You must be present to win at the Anchorage. One lucky winner will win a pair of lower level section tickets to the game at Camden Yards between the Phillies and the Orioles. You'll get sandwiches and pretzels and drinks for the ride down. It's a quick and easy trip. You'll be on the bus. 2 tickets, round-trip transportation. You must be present at the Anchorage in Summers Point. Caller 7. Good luck. Just after 3, congratulations to a couple more qualifiers. You got multiple ways you can qualify on the radio. Of course, if you're listening to 97.3 ESPN, you can listen that way. Listen for that sounder to go off. Be the right caller, and you are in. It's as simple as that. You can watch the show live on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel or on the X platform at Mike Gill Show. And periodically throughout the show, when we go to break, there will be directions on the screen that you're watching, and it'll tell you how you can enter, and we will contact those people as well. And if you're following our social media channels at 973 ESPN on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter X, it'll give you directions and you can enter. So a multitude of ways, I should say, that you can enter to win that trip to Baltimore, which is a really, really cool trip. So for those people who have never done something like this before, basically there is a bus trip. You will be a part of that bus trip. You get a big old motor coach, deluxe motor coach. It'll depart Philadelphia around noon, and it takes about 2 hours to get to Baltimore. So you'll get there by like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which gives you most of the day to walk around the Inner Harbor. I would recommend going over to Fells Point, hanging out over at Max's Tap House for a little while, maybe get a little something to eat down there in Baltimore. I like pizza at Isabella's. Not that you have to follow my itinerary, but you'll get 2 lower-level tickets to the game, and you're going with all Phillies fans. And the tickets, by the way, are all seated together in the lower level between left field and the third baseline in the lower level. So it'll be on the Phillies side of the field between left field and third base. It'll be all Phillies fans, and they're going to provide lunch for you on your drive down there. So this is a really, really cool trip, and we appreciate everybody who was trying to win this trip. And, hey, listen, it's Phillies opening day. We want to have a ton of people out at the Anchorage in Summers Point. We want to have a huge crowd wearing the Phillies gear, everybody into the game, and then, of course, everybody that's there that entered on the radio, or if you're watching on YouTube, you have a chance to win the tickets. Now, your name must be on the list, so you have to watch or you have to listen to enter. Now, if you did not enter, you can still show up that day to the Anchorage, and we're going to have other great prizes for people who are just hanging out all throughout the day. So make it a fun day, make it a fun experience at the Anchorage in Summers Point. And by the way, our most recent qualifiers today, we appreciate those guys. Who do we got there? What was that? Chris and somebody else. I don't have my messaging up in front of me. Who we got, Josh?
Chris in Summers Point and Richard in the Villas.
Okay. Chris in Summers Point, Richard in the Villas. You guys, we will see you at the Anchorage in Summers Point. Looking forward to that. Always looking forward to, like, when we're out and about. And we do these type of live shows when we're on location, and, we see a lot of very familiar faces. A lot of people come out to a lot of these events, and that's awesome. It's also cool when we see people that we've never met before. We always encourage people. I know a lot of times we're doing the show, we get a little tied up, but come over, say hello. Nick will be there. We'll do the Nuggets live. We'll have our whole team out there on that opening day because we all want to watch the game as well. You know what stinks is I have to work during the game. So we're trying to do the show at the same time. We're trying to watch the game. You guys are all watching the game. So we always look forward to at least the opening day as well. We know that coming up, opening day is on March 26th against the Rangers. That's a 4:15 start. So obviously the show will be on. At 4 o'clock will be the game, and then you can hang around, watch the game. We'll give away the trip to Baltimore. The Phillies have a day off on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday they play Texas. Then they're back home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So 6-game homestand to open the start of the season. Now, today, I don't know if anybody caught this, but the Phillies did announce the most recent Wall of Fame, the next inductee into the Phillies Wall of Fame, and it will be Friday, August 7th, before the Phillies play the Blue Jays. That will be Phillies Alumni Weekend at Citizens Bank Park, and the 51st member of the Phillies Wall of Fame is Chase Utley, which obviously now the last couple of times that they have done some Wall of Fames, they've gotten them. Rollins last year, I think it was. I think they did Ryan Howard before that. No, Ryan Howard not yet. Who was before that? Was it Hamels?
So they right now of the 2008 squad, at least the latest, they have Pat Burrell on the wall. They also have J. Roll, you mentioned. Charlie Manuel's on the wall as well.
Yeah, Utley this year, Rollins last year. Oh, Ed Wade, David Montgomery. Wow, they don't have Rollins. Excuse me, they don't. I thought they had Hamels and Howard.
Not yet.
They did do Halliday.
They did
back
Halladay.
in 2018. He was not on the 08 team. They did Burrow all the way back in 2015. So he was the first one on the wall from that. Well, Manuel was. So they win
Charlie.
in 08. Charlie is on the wall in 14. Burrow was the first one they picked.
Yeah,
See,
I'll
I'm
make these
always
decisions.
kind of out on the Wall of Fame. This one makes sense. Okay, Utley deserves to be on the Wall of Fame. But do you agree or disagree with me?
About Burrell?
No,
Oh.
that they should have done Rollins, Utley, and Howard all together. I get it. They want to do them one at a time. But last year, Rollins got on the wall with Ed Wade. So it wasn't like he had the day to himself. Like in 2023, Roland was on there with two other guys, John Quinn and Ruley Carpenter, one of the old owners of the team. John Quinn was a GM. In 2022, they did Bake McBride and Ron Reed. So they have put on multiple guys on at the same time. I think they should have had Rollins, Utley, and Howard. The three of them should have stuck together because it was always those three. They will forever be intertwined in the conversation. Do you agree with that, or do you like the fact that Rollins is getting one, Utley is getting one, and I would imagine next year Howard would be the next one?
I like your idea. I just think that if there was more of a precedent for your idea, I would have been more like, yeah, we're doing that. Because the problem with the Phillies right now is that they've been doing this like mishmash thing with the Wall of Fame for so long.
Well, for years, they were putting guys on the Wall of Fame that I was just like, yeah, I don't know if they're really, Wall of Fame worthy, but they're trying to make a weekend out of it. Now, that being said, I think, listen, they've only got Burrell and Manuel on the wall from 08. You've got Rollins and Utley now. So that's Burrell, Manuel, Rollins, Utley. Howard's coming up, all right? So Howard will be on the wall. After that, you can make a strong argument that you could put Ruiz.
Yep.
That you
Hamels.
would put Hamels. Now, Lidge, I don't know if he's eligible or not. What's the eligibility for that?
I'll pull it up.
Because
Give me a
Lidge
second.
has not.
I saw it earlier.
He only played a handful of years. So, okay, all candidates must be retired for 3 years before they're eligible for the ballot. Consideration is given to longevity, ability, character, and contributions to the Phillies and baseball, plus special achievements. Phillies executive players, managers, and coaches with 4 or more years of service are eligible.
So Lidge is out.
So, Lidge, you're telling me, they would not make a special?
I would make a special exemption for him for sure. I mean, you could argue there is no championship without Brad Lidge.
100%. So that's what I'm saying. So you've got Burrell, Manuel, Rollins, Utley. So that's 4. You know that, okay, Howard will be on there probably next year. Hamels will be next after that. Ruiz will probably get on there. Jason Worth, was he here for 4 years?
I think so. Let me check.
Because I would think that Worth would probably have to be on that list as well. I'm trying to think who else from that team stands out as definitively.
Jason was literally exactly 4 years.
All right, so 4 years. Worth will probably get in at some point as well.
Here's a name. What about Victorino?
Victorino, yes. He will also be on that list of.
Because he was in Philadelphia for a while.
Oh, and he'll definitely be on there. I would imagine. Like Shane Victorino would be like, Juan Samuel got in. He's just a popular guy. He was, the heartbeat of that team. He wasn't the star, but I definitely. So that's another one. So you've got, and here's the thing, Josh. I just gave you how many guys? 6?
By the way, Lidge was in Philadelphia for 4 years. He did actually pitch 4 years. It wasn't 3.
Okay. Well, if he
So
pitched 4,
he qualified.
then he's got to be in there.
Yeah, he just wasn't the closer the whole time.
So what about and Gillick's got? Oh, he's already on.
He's
All right,
already
so
in there.
Gillick's already on there. All right. So
I don't even count him, honestly, because to me, when I think of I think of the guys on the field less than the guy in the front office.
yeah, but they have a precedent that they put
I
in
know.
front
They
office.
they
guys.
put everybody who had a touch of the team.
Well, Ed Wade got in, and he basically got in because he never
drafted
traded
him.
any of these guys.
Right. He drafted them.
So Ruiz should get in, I would imagine.
Yes.
Howard will get in coming up.
Yep.
Utley's already in. Rollins is already in. Burrell's already in. Victorino will get in. Worth will get in. I mean, maybe you go with
We mentioned Lidge, right?
well, now you just said Lidge, I would put him in as well.
He's 4 years.
Other than that, it's not a lot of guys that, Jamie Moyer, was he even here for 4 years? Kyle Kendrick, I don't think any of those guys. So I
Moyer
think,
was here for a while.
but I do think the ones that aren't in so far, you still have Howard, Ruiz, Victorino, Worth, Hamels. That's 5 more.
And then Lidge.
And Lidge. That's 6 more. Now, you could make an argument, and he wasn't here 4 years, that you could maybe put Stairs on there.
I mean,
He was a broadcaster.
If we're talking about special moments, yes.
And Moyer was also a broadcaster. But just, okay, so that's at least 6 without Stairs.
We got
okay?
6, yeah.
So just remember that. That's 6. So that's 6 more years, which would say at 6 more years, you would maybe not, though, because I was going to say 6 more years, you could start to cycle through some of the guys from 2022.
Not yet.
Because you're not going to get anybody from the doldrums of 2012 to 2021.
No. I mean, the
maybe Reese Hoskins.
Okay, I can see that.
Like from that era of no playoffs for 10 years.
Just misery.
You maybe can say Reese Hoskins is a guy, he was on the 2022 World Series, and I would imagine in 6 years, Hoskins is probably retired by then, right?
Probably. I mean, he's got to be, 30-some years old now?
Hoskins is right now, let's see, he's 32, yes. So 6 years from now, he'll be 38 years old. So now, how long do they have to be retired for?
I think it was 5 years.
They must be retired for 3 years.
Oh, 3 years.
Before they're eligible for the
I'm
ballot.
thinking of the NFL Hall of Fame thing.
Okay,
The NFL
so
Hall of Fame is 5 years.
I would think then you would also look at, like, Cliff Lee. Would he be on there? He wasn't on the 08 team.
No.
Did he play for 4 years here, though?
Yes.
All right, so Cliff Lee would be another guy that you would put under consideration.
I think he might be getting in there at some point.
Okay. So that would be a 7th guy from that era.
That era, right.
So I'm looking at the era after the 08 and once they crumbled and fell apart. The next 10 years, I don't really know that anybody from that group is worth. Like Hoskins would be one because he was on the 2022 team.
Right, and Hoskins was like the lone bright spot for like a few years there when hitting all those bombs.
Well, I think he would be there more for what he did in 2022. And listen, remember, people forget when Hoskins came up in 2017, he hit like more home runs in like a 20-game stretch than like anybody in the history of the game or something.
Yeah,
remember that start that he got off to?
Yes, and because the other point is that when he came up, it was around the same time Aaron Judge came up. And him and Aaron Judge were like neck and neck in like the first 50, 100 Major League games with most home runs hit. So it was like there was a point where Hoskins was in the conversation with Aaron Judge.
Yeah, no, he came up and had that historic start to his career. But like from 2013 really up to 2021, unless I'm totally forgetting somebody, and maybe I am, I would think Hoskins would be the one guy after you start getting past the 08, 9, 10, 11, because I definitely think Cliff Lee would probably be under consideration, don't you?
He has to be.
Maybe Ruben Amaro? Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
Amaro as the assistant GM, then he became the GM.
I mean, Amaro's
now he's a
Phillies
broadcaster.
lifer, so I mean,
exactly.
Right, you can make the argument that maybe because he's a lifer.
That could be a possibility. Because in 2013, Ruiz was still here, Howard was still here, Utley was still here, Rollins was still here. Like, those guys were all still here, but they were kind of falling apart. So you're really going from like 14 to 21, that 7-year stretch where it really started to kind of fall off the wheels. Like,
I mean, the guy who's from that 2022 era right now you're talking about, who probably gets in first, is the guy who's the oldest of the group, Aaron Nola.
Nola's contract, doesn't he have 5 years still left?
But I mean, like down the road. We're talking about like in the 2030s at this point, right? Like 2033,
yeah, but he
34,
would still
35.
5 years from now. He's still signed, I think. So is Harper.
Well, Harper.
So is Turner. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to find some. I think you got like 7 guys from the 08 team, plus like a Cliff Lee,
right?
And anybody that was like 9, 10, 11. If anybody came in after that 08 World Series team, that I'm forgetting, maybe Raul Ibanez. I don't think he was here for 4 years, though.
He wasn't here for 4 years.
All right, so he's probably out. But that's 7 guys right there. That brings you to, 33?
33, 34.
So then you're looking at the guys who played in that era after the 08, 9, 10, 11, 12, and that's that next group. And in that next group, I think the only guy would be Rhys Hoskins, and he would be more representing the 2022 team that went to the World Series. And
He's
that would
kind of
give
like
you
the bridge between the bad years and the good years.
Right, but then the problem is like Aaron Nola, I don't think he will be 3 years out of the league by then.
Right. Let me double check exactly what year his contract finishes up.
I'm not sure if he has 4 years left or if he has 5 years left for Nola. Then,
by the way, I do have a name, maybe just for laughs. Okay, just for laughs. You know who pitched for the Phillies for 4 years? Was a multiple-time All-Star?
Nope.
Jonathan Papelbon.
Ooh, interesting. So he was here for 4 years.
He had 123 saves in his Phillies tenure.
At one point, wasn't he the all-time save leader here?
For a hot minute, yeah.
Okay, then there you go. That might be a guy that fits that era.
Just throwing it out there.
Right there. Nola, but he will not have been retired, I don't think, because I think he still has years on his contract that will take him right up into that. Well, no, because we said 7 more years. How many years does he have left?
2030.
Okay, so yeah, he might be
so
right
in
on the
2034, 35, he should be in the clear, right?
I would think as soon as his 3 years out of the game are up, he will get in.
Yeah.
Hoskins, I think, will be the one that represents that meh era.
Yep.
But
him and Nola together. People forget Nola came up with it 2015, 2016.
Yep, and they will be the 2 guys that represent like that terrible era of no playoffs for 10 years. But we're also a part of the 2022 team.
Right. Kind of like how Jimmy Rollins was similar. Remember, he came up when things were wacky, and then he was still here when things got good.
And then you'll start to probably see your Harpers and Turners and Schwarber and all these guys. I would imagine you're going to see Turner, Harper, Schwarber, JT, all the pitchers, Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez.
By the way, Cliff Lee pitched 5 years in Philadelphia.
Right, so he's going to get on there too.
Yeah, so I figured I'd double check that one.
So they got a lot coming up down the pipeline all of a sudden.
They got some people.
They've got a gap there in the middle, but I think, Ranger, he'll get on there.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. I think Ranger will be on there. Not Jake Arrieta, though.
Not Jared Eichel.
No Zach Eflin either. But I think what you'll see, I think about the 6 or 7 that we mentioned from 08 and probably Cliff Lee. So I think that's 6 or 7 there.
That's why you got to spread these guys out. You got to have them come in one in a year because you got to get to 2035.
Yeah, well, that's why they didn't do them all together.
Exactly.
609-403-0973. Guys, the Flying Hawaiian. Yeah, I think that
Victorino's.
Somebody mentioned Ryan Madsen.
I mean, he pitched here for a while.
He was the bridge to Lidge.
And he had that 1 year to lead you in saves.
I don't remember that.
I'll pull it up. I forget what year it was, but I'll pull it up.
Jack from EHT, Pat Burrell and Mike Lieberthal on the Wall of Fame. What a joke. Yeah, I do think there are certain guys that are, but that's their.
I mean, Lieberthal was a multiple-time All-Star. We're acting like the guy was a bum.
Not that I'd be a huge fan of it, but Brett Myers, that's Jay from Cape May. Yeah, Myers has, of course, he had a little bit of an off-the-field, situation.
Madsen
while
led
he
the
was
Phillies
here.
in saves in 2011.
All right, so he was there after Lidge as the closer. Mike, the bridge to Lidge, Ryan Madsen qualified. Big reason they won in 08. Yeah, he was here for 9 years, but he really had the 1 year that he was, a huge part of the team.
See here, Madsen had one. He had 3 years of under a 3 ERA and 2 years of a 3.05 ERA.
No, I think Madsen is one of those guys that if you need, by the way, a bridge from the 08 crew to the 2022 era.
If you need another body.
Well, if you need a bridge of somebody from the 08 era to the 2022 era, and you would say, look, he was on the 08 team. He was here for 9 years. He led the team in saves, but he was the bridge to Lidge. He would be another guy that I think. But I think you have at least 6 or 7 guys that would take you to the 27, 28, 29, because after this year, so 2026, you already have your guys. So 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. That gets you to 2033. And then some of the guys from 2022, 2023, 2024, this era here, they start to become eligible because they're going to be in their late 30s. Although Harper, Turner, they're still going to be signed, I think. Or they would just be done.
They would just be finishing.
Right, and Harper said he wants to play until he's 40.
Yeah, so he ain't going up anytime soon.
Nope, I wouldn't think he's going to go up anytime soon. Let's see, 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. We've got a bunch of names coming in. A lot of them we've mentioned already. But I do agree that you might get guys who are don't think of your, top quality all-stars, right? You're thinking of guys who are a little less than the all-stars.
Or borderline.
Like Ruiz.
Right.
Ruiz, not an all-star player.
He was an all-star once, I think. He had that 1 year.
The only other guy that I'm thinking about that could possibly be, and I don't even think that would be on that bridge in that little gap between, 20. Because keep in mind, they didn't make the playoffs for a couple of years there, but Utley, Rollins, and Howard were still hanging around here.
That's why I went with Papelbon, because even though he's not the most popular figure, he's the franchise leader in saves. He was all-star. He was here for 4 years.
Well, the other guy I was thinking about, and I don't think he was here for 4 years, though, was maybe Segura. He did have that big hit in 2022.
When you pull him up.
But I don't think he was here for 4 years. But it's fun because this is a huge night, the alumni weekend, the Phillies. But the odd part is, okay, now I'm 49 years old. Alumni weekend had always been.
Gene Segura is 4 years in a Phillies uniform.
Alumni weekend had always been the 1980 team. For my whole life, they rolled out the 1980 team like the Sixers roll out Allen Iverson nights.
Right.
But we're starting to get the crossover where the 80 guys are starting to dissipate, and you got to start now acknowledging the 08 team. Because you think about it, in 2 years,
what are you, Roman Reigns over here?
We're going to be 20 years from that World Series. 30 years, from that World Series. Crazy to think about. That group. What about Roman Reigns?
No, you said we need to acknowledge them.
Oh, sorry. I'm not up on those references anymore.
No, sorry.
Not that I'm not frowning upon. I'm just not up on them all.
Yeah, that's the thing Reigns does is he wants people to
I
acknowledge
heard that
it.
before. I just, Paul from Millwall, of course, Mike's favorite will definitely get in. Vinny Velasquez. Just kidding. He says, how about Joe Blanton? Solid number 5 for us for years. He was iconic pitching outing with the home run in the World Series. Does he sneak in somehow? Now,
Velasquez does have an iconic moment.
No, Velasquez is out. Blanton's interesting, though. That would be a guy that if you don't want to do, if you do 2 in a year, let's say Ruiz, does he get his own year, or do you put Blanton and Ruiz in 1 year together, or do you put Blanton in as the second guy
with Cliff Lee?
exactly. Like if you just say, look, we want to get as many '08 guys
There's
in there
a
as
famous
possible.
story. I remember they're on the cover of Sports Illustrated, like, nah, we got to put the other guy on there too.
Sure.
Because remember, it was only supposed to be Hamels, Lee, Halliday, and
I was there
Oswalt.
that day.
You were there that day?
I was in Clearwater
Well,
when
maybe
they had the press conference with all 5 guys.
Right. So my thing is, like, if you put in Lee, you put Blandon with him just to be like, hey.
Well, and what the guy said, he does have that memorable at bat. He was on that team that won the World Series. So I would think that if they're looking for, like, hey, we could put 2 guys in this year. Because we just said if you could put in 1 a year, you have at least 7 years of guys coming up here.
Blanton had 5 years in Philadelphia. Did you know, Mike Gill, he started 100 games in a Phillies uniform?
No, but 5 years, about 25 a year. I mean, if 25 a year obviously is more than 100, but so you make that number would seem to make a lot of sense. How about this idea from the NFL? That's coming up next on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, and I'm all for it. More Sports Bash coming up. Stick around. 97.3 ESPN. All right, 3:33. Fun conversation on the Phillies Wall of Fame. We didn't really have that planned. It just kind of organically happened, but I'm all for it. I like having the conversation, and I thought it was fun bringing up some names there from '08. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. Don't forget, all the madness begins a week from today. Thursday at noon, you can listen to March Madness right here on 97.3 ESPN. My favorite time of the year. I love March Madness. I cannot wait. This tournament's going to be great, by the way. This is going to be a great March Madness.
Question is Miami, Ohio going to get in?
No, they're out. Now, did you think they belonged in?
I mean, if they won their conference tournament, they obviously get automatically.
Well, yes, if you get in, even if you don't deserve to get in, you automatically get in. That wasn't my question. Many people
not
believe
losing in the quarterfinals
because they lost today. For the people out there, Miami of Ohio went 31-0. They lost today in the MAC tournament, not the MAC tournament that's here in Atlantic City, but the MAC tournament, just 1A
right.
MAC. Yes, they lost today, so they fall to what? 31-1.
Yeah, my thing is they lost their conference tournament. If you would have won, if you would have lost like the finals of the conference.
Right, but some people believe because they went undefeated in the regular season, a perfect 31-0, that there was nothing else that they could do, that they belong in. And I disagreed.
I disagree too. But they're probably going to get in because someone's going to be.
think so.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, they are not getting in.
You think they'll get like a sympathy vote for like the first four?
I don't think they're getting in. No way.
Well, then I'd be happy.
Who did they lose to? Like, what was the seeding on that game? They had to be the 1 seed.
Yeah, let me pull it up. I saw it earlier.
I don't see that.
UMass. Who is UMass in their bracket? So I got to look up here.
I don't see the game. When did they lose? When was it?
Today.
Oh, it was today. I'm looking at last night. Okay, that's why. So they lost today.
87-83.
All right, so they lost to UMass today. What was the seeding on that?
That's what I'm trying to pull up.
I don't see the game. Oh, there it is.
It
UMass. So UMass against Miami of Ohio. Miami of Ohio is ranked 20th in the country, by the way. So they go undefeated. And there's a lot of debate whether or not going undefeated should have been good enough to get you in. And I would say no. And it's one of those things. It's like
UMass with 8.
Okay, so it was an 8
versus 1.
1 game. Their best win this year.
Good luck with this.
I mean, they just don't have one. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the main problem.
I mean, they didn't beat one decent team. Now, you could say there's some teams in their league that are like quality, good teams, but they're not getting in. So all the people, I guess their best win this year, put it this way, the most recognizable school that they beat, I would say, is Air Force.
1.
UNC Greensboro, UNC Asheville. That's probably their best couple of wins. Where Air Force, and now Air Force was terrible. I'm just saying the most
name
recognizable schools that they beat.
Correct.
They're not getting in, nor did they deserve to get in. Their schedule just was dreadful this year. By the way, Miami of Ohio was 31-0 entering the tournament. UMass was 16-15. Now, they had beaten UMass twice during the regular season. They beat them 86-84 by 2 points. And actually, they only played them once. That's it. They beat them 86-77 the second time. So I did not think at any point that Miami of Ohio belonged in. Can you name a famous Miami of Ohio NBAer?
NBAer?
That played in the NBA. He is no longer in it, but he's the only Miami of Ohio guy I can think of off the top of my head. I do believe there is one or two others. I want to say this other one played there, but I'm not 100%. The other guy I am 100% on.
I mean, you can go ahead and look it up, but I mean, I can't think of any. You're better at this.
There's
game
one
than
guy who is he was a lottery pick.
Lottery pick.
Yep.
Oh, Wally Zerbiak?
That is correct. So Wally Zerbiak, the other guy, he did go there.
Thanks for
correct.
Thanks for the lottery pick hint.
Yes. Ron Harper was the other guy that I thought played
really?
there. And he did play there. I wasn't 100% on Ron Harper, but he did play at Miami of Ohio. Wally Zerbiak would be the other one. Yep.
Timberwolves.
Knicks.
Later.
In fact, he is a Knicks broadcaster now, isn't he?
He also does work for CBS College Basketball.
Yeah. So Zerbiak, I was going to say, he's a guy. All right. So the NFL has every single day on the calendar, and they are looking to add another one. According to Adam Schefter, the NFL is looking to add a game on Thanksgiving Eve. They would play the game the night before Thanksgiving, and it may start as soon as this season. Thoughts? I am in on the Thanksgiving Eve game. Now, it would be a great, because it would be matched up with 99 Bottles, which is also on Thanksgiving Eve. But think about that. The NFL wants to add a Thanksgiving Eve game, and then, of course, you would get the game on Wednesday and then the 3 games on Thanksgiving. Are you for or against it? Because I am for. That Thanksgiving Eve, I know a lot of people are out. I'm too old for that. But you're sitting at home, and I always call Atlantic City Holy Spirit the next day.
Right.
So having a game on that night would be kind of cool, just to kind of sit, watch the game, and I'm in. I'm in on that.
I mean, I'm not against it. I mean,
do you like the Black Friday game?
Again, I'm not against it. I'm not yearning to use the term I'm not yearning for these games, but I'm going to watch them, and I'm not going to complain because I love football.
Well, I guess the question is, like, some people don't like. I like the London games.
You love,
but you're not a big fan of the London games. You're not up at that time.
Well, because I'm typically up later than you are doing work. So for me, it's like, now you're asking me to, shift the one day I get to get an extra hour of sleep in just to wake up for a football game.
So do you wake up for those games or no?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. But I'm typically like half asleep in my chair, drinking coffee, watching it.
Okay, well, I like the 9:30 games. The Black Friday game I could kind of do without. I don't love the Black Friday game. This year the Eagles played on Black Friday.
So is it the
I
time?
did watch it. Yeah, it's like the Eagles game this year. We went to a brewery and we watched the game.
Mm-hmm.
The place was packed, by the way.
Not surprising.
It was the Eagles, though. I mean, if it was like the year before, I went to a brewery and they didn't even have the game on.
That's poor.
Well, I think because the game is on Amazon Prime. Is that true? Is that Black Friday game? And I don't think the brewery had that ability. But it's also 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday. If it's the Jets playing the Dolphins, I'm not like turning my day upside down to watch that game.
No one is.
No. So I don't need the Black Friday game. But I would trade it for this game. Now, this is going to be in addition to it looks like. According to Schefter, the NFL is considering adding a game before Thanksgiving to the schedule. The added day to the schedule could come as early as this season. It would be Wednesday, November 25th. They also have played Black Friday, and it appears that game is staying. And now the league is considering a second game on Black Friday. I don't know how you would even do that, because I thought the reason they played the game at 3 o'clock on Friday is because of the whole high school thing.
Well, you played earlier in the day.
You're going to play at 11 in the morning?
Well, you could play.
Is that a London game?
You play at 12 and a 3:30, right? I think stagger them.
You could, but Friday is technically
it gets a little
working
tough,
day.
yeah.
Yes.
It gets a little, now you're really walking up that 6 o'clock line, like, hey.
Well, this all comes because of, obviously, the rating situation, but a Thanksgiving Eve game in 2026 would set up a 9-day stretch that would include games in 7 of the 9 days for the NFL. They have 3 games on Thanksgiving night. They also have Black Friday. So you would have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then, of course, the Sunday slate, and then a Monday slate. And then, of course, you you get back into the rhythm after that. So I'm in on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving game, but I would swap it out with the Black Friday game. I don't need the Black Friday game.
To me, the only reason why I don't like the Black Friday game is because of the time of day it is. I'm just not a fan of the game being in the middle. Like, if you told me...
I agree. If you told me the game was Friday night, now you go out with your buds, you watch the game, that's different.
Or if it was at noon, and then you
Yeah.
still have the rest of the day to do whatever you want. Right?
I don't know. I mean,
You're not a fan of that?
you still got, no, I don't think so. I don't need Black Friday football. I just don't.
Just in general.
Just in general. I mean, you got college games on.
Yep.
If you want to watch some football, you got the Egg Bowl.
Yep.
You got Georgia Tech, stuff like that. I don't think I need an NFL game on Friday.
The
Black
NFL
Friday.
says you need this in your life, though. The NFL is telling
listen,
you.
the ratings would say otherwise. And listen, if they put an NFL game on a Tuesday night and the game was in Iceland and it was at 11:30, I'm sure people would probably stay up to try to watch that thing.
Naturally.
Yeah. But what do the people out there say? 609-403-0973. Hit us up on the White Horse RV text board. Let us know. Would you be in or out on I like the Thanksgiving Eve game because, I've been the person for years that has been saying somebody needs to own Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve needs someone to own it. NBA, somebody. You're watching the Hawaii Bowl is all you're getting on
poor.
Christmas Eve. You need more than that.
I never understood why the NFL didn't just look at the NBA and say, you got Christmas, we're taking Christmas Eve. I never understood why they didn't do that.
Why the NFL didn't say that?
Yeah.
Well, I agree. The NFL doesn't need to
Confiscate another day.
take Christmas Day. They could have said, listen, NBA, you take Christmas Day. We're just going to own Christmas Eve. Now, the NBA should say, fine, you booted us off. We're just going to go own it Christmas Eve now and
Sure.
play games all day on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. You know, it's funny. I just had somebody text me. I'm going to read the text message.
Oh, no.
It says, be truthful. The Nizams, do you actually go? I said, I get this. People ask me this all the time. I went for lunch there on Saturday.
Yes, you did.
It was outstanding. We had so much food. The portions are I don't want to say too big, but I brought them home with me. I was there Saturday, and I told you, the mango juice, 10. It's a 10. Here's the problem that I had on Saturday. I don't even know what I ordered because they just kept bringing me out stuff. Like, try this one, try that one. And so I can't even name some of the stuff I ordered because they just kept bringing me stuff. But I was there Saturday. It was outstanding. And yes, I will be back again. I have been there multiple times. And what I would say is the best experience that I have had is when you go with a lot of people. It's a BYOB. You can bring your own, hang out with like 6 to 8 people, and just order a bunch of stuff. And then pick out what you like. And then you can go, with your wife or girlfriend or whoever in a one-on-one situation. But my first recommendation is bring a big party of people. Try as much as you can. Listen, I'm someone who travels a lot. I was just in Egypt and Jordan, and their food was spectacular. The amount of flavors that people from outside this country use to make their food, it's a whole nother world that you need to open yourself up to. So check out the Nizams, Route 40, right there in front of Boscov's in Egg Harbor Township, and tell them Mike Gill from the Sports Bash sent you. Stick around. More Sports Bash coming up. DiCecco has football at 4. 3 o'clock hour brought to you by Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, Air Conditioning. Your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, installation. 609-390-3907. Mike Gill Sports Bash. Your home for the NCAA tournament starts on Thursday. The first four, Tuesday night and Wednesday night. You got both games. They will be on Rock 104.1. And, of course, the tournament begins on Thursday. You can listen to the tournament right here on 97.3 ESPN. Tonight, we'll have the Sixers and the Pistons. Flyers and Wild will be on Rock 104.1. Follow tonight on 97.3 ESPN is Clemson and North Carolina. The ACC tournament is going on right now. Tomorrow, we will have the Big East semis for you here on 97.3 ESPN. And then on Saturday, the Big East Championship, the ACC Championship. Busy weekend. The Big Ten Championship will be on Sunday's show. It'll be the start of a great, I think, you know I love NCAA March Madness. I think this is going to be epic. And I'll tell you why. Now, the madness is always about upsets, right? That has kind of been the thing, is upsets and craziness. I don't know how many upsets you're going to get, but you're going to get crazy games. There are so many teams that have a chance to win this tournament. There are so many teams right now that you could say, how many teams can win this tournament? I could say 10, 15. So many teams. There's so many good, solid teams. I think you're going to get a lot of fun, a lot of great games. So I think you're going to get buzzer beaters and great games. I'm not sure you're going to get a lot of, crazy upsets because I don't know that there's a lot of teams that are so high profile. Like if Duke lost, yes, they're number one. Yes, they're really good. But if they lost to, say, Kansas, or if they lost to, say, now if they lost to a 15 or a 14 or something like that, that would be something different. But Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Florida, Houston, UConn, Iowa State, Virginia, Gonzaga, St. John's, Kansas, I think all those teams, and probably more, have a shot to win this thing. All right, check it all out. It all starts the madness right here on 97.3 ESPN. And right now, I need caller number 7, 609 573-3776, 609-573-3776. Caller number 7. Right now, we need you, and you are entered for this year's opening day watch party at the Anchorage in Summers Point. Stop on out for Phillies opening day. Wear your Phillies gear, but you can win a trip to see the Phillies and the Orioles. We're sending a bus down to Baltimore's Camden Yards to see the Phillies play the O's on Friday night, July 31st. The Sports Bash will be live at the Anchorage in Summers Point, and we're having a Phillies opening day watch party where one lucky winner will win a pair of lower-level tickets to see the game. You'll be fed on the bus. You'll get a deluxe motor coach ride to and from lower-level seats. 609-573-3776. Caller 7. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. And, of course, it is brought to you by our friends at the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. The Madness Zone at Ocean, March 19th through the 22nd. Every college basketball game. Place your bets at Atlantic City's best sportsbook while you watch, eat, and drink all tournament long. Turn it into a getaway with the Madness Zone hotel package, an overnight stay, plus a $50 food and beverage credit. Taste Atlantic City runs through March 31st with 3-course menus for $60. See Burt Kreischer April 3rd and 4th, and Lenny Kravitz May 16th at Ovation Hall. Book now, theoceanac.com. Andrew DiCecco is here from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. And it has been slow so far, Andrew. Is this the way you envisioned this offseason kicking off for Howie Roseman and the 2026 Philadelphia Eagles?
I did. And for anyone who listened to what Howie Roseman had to say in his season-ending press conference or even in Indianapolis at the NFL Scouting Combine, you should be prepared for the early part of this free agent process, right? Because he talked about the need and some of the challenges that accompany trying to keep your own players in that building and some of the sacrifices that would need to be made in order to do so. So he was really transparent, not only this offseason, but last offseason as well, in sort of bracing Eagles fans for a little turbulence early on in the offseason. But I was expecting it. Did I expect Jalen Phillips to get $30 million a season? I did not. But he was a priority. He was someone who they wanted to keep. But outside of that, Mike, nothing that I've seen thus far has really surprised me.
Okay, so let's look at Phillips. He got $30 million. Obviously, that's a lot of money, and I think Vic Fangio did say we wanted him, just kind of got priced out. Where do you see options now, Andrew, to replace him? Because, last year they went in with Hunt and Smith. Halfway through the year, they realized that was not enough. Do they think that's enough this time around, or do they have to get creative to find someone to replace Phillips?
Yeah, I would tend to think that the Eagles would lean toward getting outside help there. When they brought in Jalen Phillips, he was the headliner there, flanked by J-Lux Hunt, but Nolan Smith was the number 3, and I think that's really where he's best suited, especially given his body type, the way he plays the game with a lot of physicality and setting the edge, but that lends itself to not always being available. So I think the Eagles' best course of action right now would be to explore the trade market, someone like a Jonathan Grenard. Now, if it's a second-round pick, I'm not doing that. I don't know that he would be worth a second-round pick, but he is a player that I think would fit pretty well within this scheme. He's been productive throughout his career. This would qualify as a bounce-back season for him, and you may ask, how do you feel about players on bounce-back seasons? I think in this case you would feel a little bit more confident about it because of his past success. And there hasn't been a flash in the pan, a blip on the radar. He's been a really, really dominant force off the edge in his career. And I think when you're looking at who he would be replacing, you need to give yourself a top-flight edge rusher to allow everyone else to sort of fit into where they best fit. So that's the way that I view it. There's also the NFL draft. The Eagles are sitting at pick 23. There's a player who would fall within that range in Keldrick Falk, an edge rusher out of Auburn, 6'6", 20 years old. He moves really well. Still needs a little bit more refinement overall to his game, but his stock is rising as we speak. So there's a lot of avenues in which the Eagles can explore to do that. But I think you got to get someone who's ready to go, who's played the game at a high level. And for me, Jonathan Grenard is that guy.
All right, so keep an eye on Grenard. Minnesota had some shoulder problems, much like Jahad Campbell. We found that out as well from Vic Fangio, and he obviously will be the replacement for Nakobe Dean. But let's hear about Rick Wolin, who met the media today. Do you look at this as an upgrade over what they had last year, a significant upgrade? What is your take on how they were able to get Wolin here on a one-year deal?
Yeah, it was great talking to Rick Wolin today. Had some really interesting things to say in terms of honing in on the mental aspect and keeping his emotions in check, because I think aside from that, he's probably in Seattle with a big contract. It's been the glimpses that have been too infrequent, aside from his rookie season. But on its face, Mike, 1 year, I think it's worth up to 15, but I think it's about 12. That's what a player of his skill set, of his caliber, commands in terms of a 1-year deal because of the upside. 26 years old, 6'3", runs a 4.26. But you have to also ask yourself, how is a player with those dimensions, with that kind of ability, available for a 1-year deal? So there's two sides to every trade. You have to look at the other side. And it's been the inconsistencies. It's been the penalties. He's been one of the more penalized corners in the NFL. And I think in Philadelphia, it's a clean slate. You have a coaching staff that prides themselves and has an extensive track record of player development. So it's about reining that in, controlling your emotions, and playing within the confines of the system, which we're playing with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. You're going to see the football come your way a lot. So you have to trust your technique and really have that dialed in. But I think that's the type of signing that if you're the Eagles and you're exploring that second tier-ish type of player, you take a big swing for someone like that because you have to bet on the upside. He's played at a high level before. It's about getting him to revert back to the player that he was back in 2022.
All right. Obviously, Adoree Jackson there last year, and now you got a younger player with a lot more upside. Adoree will be done, of course. He had the 1-year deal last year. Now Rick Woolen comes in, who was coming from the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. Yes,
Rick Woolen. Yeah.
I know. Rick Woolen, along with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, that gives you a very formidable-looking secondary there. Let's go to Reed Blankenship. He got paid as well. And this kind of shows, that the Eagles are disciplined. They thought that Reed was good, but they probably don't put him on that, multiple year level. How do they replace him? Not a lot of in-house options.
Yeah, some were surprised that the Eagles walked away at that price, but I even wrote this leading into free agency on InsideTheBirds.com that if we're talking $6 or $7 million, if I'm the Eagles, sign me up for that. But if it climbed to $8, $9, $10 million, no, I'm walking away because he's not irreplaceable. There are a lot of other options and avenues that you can explore to fortify that position. I think the Eagles could stand to get more athletic there. And for all the good things that Reed Blankenship has done, and there's some intangibles there that can't be measured. It's the toughness. It's the instincts, playing fundamentally sound, making sure that you're that traffic cop back there that can make sure everybody knows their assignment. And Vic Fangio trusted him immensely at one of the most daunting positions in his system. So that shouldn't be discounted. But you can certainly stand to upgrade at that position. And I think if you look at free agency, you have players like a Geno Stone, who's been around for a while, was drafted by the Ravens, I believe, in the 7th round out of Iowa, went to the Bengals for a couple of seasons, started 34 games for them. Jaquan Brisker from the Chicago Bears. Then there's a plethora of safeties in the draft who I really like. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo, 6'4", rangy, has a good relationship with Quinyon Mitchell, ball hawk, so he's always around the football, and I think he plays with really good fundamentals and anticipation. So that's the kind of player that I would really like. And Bud Clark from TCU. There's a lot. There's the kid Wheatley from Penn State. It's not the be-all, end-all that the Eagles lost Reed Blankenship. There's going to be other options. I think you want to add a player in free agency to balance out the room a little bit. Let's not forget Marcus Epps is out there too. But that wasn't a move that I was necessarily surprised by.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and some interesting possibilities to replace him. So you've got Woolen on the outside. You've got Campbell there. You need to replace Phillips and Reed Blankenship. Really, that is a couple of the things that this team still needs to do. We'll see what Howie Roseman does to fix that. Let's go to offense, because I want to get your opinion on what they did at tight end, because obviously this Dallas Goedert thing is kind of interesting. Gives them a little time to try to figure out something there. They did bring in Johnny Munt to be a blocking tight end, and they brought back Grant Calcaterra. Do you think that it's more of a sign that Goddard is back? Do they go with Calcaterra as like a pass catcher, draft a guy to groom behind him, and now they have Munt as the blocker? Obviously, Calcaterra was kind of miserable in that second role as a blocker. That just did not suit him. How do you read the tight end room now?
Well, they still need a tight end one, to be clear, whether that's Dallas Goedert, whether that's a David Njoku in free agency, but they certainly need to make sure that they add a top-end player at that position who can be the face of that room. And this is going to be a new-look room. They really were striving to add more balance and variety in terms of skill set. Grant Calcaterra is a player that I think that there's been a lot of venom and anger directed at his way. Look, he's not a good blocker. He struggled mightily in that area. But I don't put that on the player. I put that on the coaches because if you're asking someone to continuously do something that they're not good at, you're not putting the player in the best position to be successful. However, he is a very good pass catcher. He's been used sparingly in his career with the Eagles, just 42 receptions. But I would argue that he has some of the best hands on the team. He catches a lot of volume. He receives a lot of volume in training camp. Jalen Hurts seems to trust him. And I'm curious to see how this new coaching staff views him within the structure of their offense. I can't help but wonder, because he does have more of a bigger body, if he could be a plus-size receiver at times, like a Johnny Wilson, where you put him inside and he can help you where you're not inline blocking, but you're doing other things to free up teammates and things like that, maybe trying to exploit his athleticism a little bit more. So I think as a third or even a fourth tight end, Grant Calcaterra is fine. Johnny Munt's interesting because he's a good blocker, one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL, and he's going to certainly help that area because they struggled. And that was one of the contributing factors, the tight ends not being able to hold up at the point of attack, that enabled the running game to falter the way that it did. So I was expecting a blocking tight end, thought Charlie Kohler would have been a nice fit. As it is, Johnny Munt, 31 years old, on his third team. You don't hang around that long in the NFL unless you're exceptional in a specialty role, and he certainly is. And then there's plenty of tight ends in the draft that they can look to add if they choose to go that route, which I am expecting they will.
Yeah, and obviously Munt, well, not obvious to everybody, but has some background with Sean Mannion as well. So he would likely be the number 2 blocking tight end, or, the guy who's in there in run game situations and goal line situations. I am interested to see if they, what you just said, Andrew, do they look at Calcaterra and say, look, this guy can catch the ball, he can make plays, we just never have given him a chance, and we can get that for a heck of a lot cheaper than Goddard. Nothing against Goddard, but might just be time to flip over that salary.
Yeah, I don't think it would be to be a starter, just to be clear. But I do think that there's a world in which he can have a little bit more of a hand in the offense as a receiver, as a depth piece, or maybe you find more creative ways to deploy him formationally, but I think there's more there than what he's shown. He's a good route runner. He can pull away from linebackers and defensive backs. He has that kind of athleticism, and I don't want to oversell it, but I think that it's always been a little curious to me as to why, as the number 2 tight end playing as much as he just had 9 catches last season. I think that there's a way where maybe they can involve the tight end a little bit more. And really, if you look at the Kyle Shanahan offense and the Sean McVay's, it's becoming it's becoming tight end heavy in terms of their usage. So, I mean, this could be a situation where they carry 3 or 4 this year, depending on how things shake out.
All right, Dotson, obviously, 2-year deal, $15 million. He goes to Atlanta. Did not have a major role here. 37 catches, 1 touchdown in 34 games with Philadelphia. So, on the surface, you would say not a huge loss. In-house, do they even look to add, an upgrade at the third wide receiver? Or is that just not a position that this team values all that much?
Well, they certainly value it, and you look at the defense and how much money is going to have to be invested in that on that side of the ball. You got to get younger on the offensive side. You have to start drafting and developing players that are on rookie contracts, and this would be an opportune spot for the Eagles to take a wide receiver and have them slide in as the 3. You have Darius Cooper, who I think is probably better suited to be a 4 right now. Great story development, and kind of go from there. But Jahan Dotson, it was a steep investment to get him. I think they gave up a 3rd-round pick a couple years ago, had the 27-yard catch in the Super Bowl, had the touchdown to kickstart the playoffs after Oren Burks forced the fumble against the Packers. So the highlights are minimal, but whenever the ball came his way, he certainly made the most of it.
Yep, and obviously he moves on to Atlanta. We'll see what they do there. Obviously, the A.J. Brown stuff seemingly is up and down and all around, and every 10 minutes we can get something different. A lot of people believe after June 1st that teams could get back in play here. Your gut feeling on A.J. Brown's future now?
Right now, on March 12th, I would say that the Eagles probably move on. move on from him. But we'll have to see how things go. It seems like it's a week-to-week thing. I mean, the Eagles aren't just going to give him away, and that's something that you've heard a lot about. They're not just going to lose out on a staring contest and just deal him to the highest bidder. They're going to stand firm on what they believe the value is there, and until they get that, they're not going to move him. But they are taking calls, and I mean that's been widely reported, and so we'll have to wait and see how everything transpires from there.
So we'll see what happens with Brown, obviously. Let me, move to the Max Crosby thing and how that might intertwine with Philadelphia. Did they get involved there, Andrew, in your mind? How that changes the edge marker market for, losing Phillips? What is your take on the bizarre situation that happened with Crosby and then the domino effect of taking Hendrickson off the board?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really bad optics. It looks like they got cold feet to me and had buyer's remorse. You feel good about dealing 2 first-round picks on Friday night. You take the weekend, you think about it. You look at how the legal tampering period's going. You see that Trey Hendrickson's still out there when you probably didn't expect him to be, and then all of a sudden you're okay. Well, we could do this and then keep our picks, and you start second guessing. But I have to tell you, that's bad business, and it's a bad look for an organization in the Ravens that for many years were viewed among the NFL's best. This is going to be hard to move past, and you have to imagine that there's going to be other teams that are going to be hesitant to do business with Baltimore moving forward. Now, Max Crosby, you have to do your homework before you trade for a player like that, because out of his 7 seasons, 5 he's played over 900 snaps, 2 in which he's played over 1,000. The Raiders have really run him into the ground, and you have to worry about the longevity. And of course, there's going to be some health concerns there, given how much he's played, even at 28 years old.
All right, Andrew. Last few all kind of today. Landon Dickerson, a reworked deal. What is the optics on this in your mind?
Well, it helps the Eagles, I guess, if you want to say, minimize any kind of financial burden in the event that he does walk away, and 2 years max. From what I understand, he was close to walking away this season and retiring. He's been riddled with injuries throughout his career. The attrition has clearly caught up to him. Last season, he battled through a litany of injuries. And if you're Landon, you have to think, can I go through another season like this? Okay, if I can get through 2026, 2027, we'll have to wait and see. So I think this right here was almost it almost looked like a courtesy to the Eagles in the event that he decides to walk away or at an early age.
Gotcha. All right. So Dickerson, for those just tuning in, he was set to make $39 million over the next 2 seasons. It goes down to $36, although he's now his contract was going to expire in 2028. He is now only under contract through 2027, so he takes a little bit of a pay cut, but he's only here for 2 years instead of the 3 years. So we'll see what ends up happening with the future of Dickerson. Not a lot of times you talk about a kicker or a punter signing, but Brady Man, 4 years, $14 million, and this was the offseason to be a kicker or a punter. These guys were making big bucks in free agency.
Yeah, I'm a huge Braden Mann guy. I gotten to know him quite a bit over the past couple of years, and well deserved. I thought that he deserved Pro Bowl consideration. He had tied a career high in punts inside the 20 with 20, hit a 70-yarder this year, and was really critical in the field flipping. When the offense was sputtering early on, he bailed them out oftentimes. And when you have a punter like that, he's a weapon. And I looked at what Tommy Townsend got from the Tennessee Titans. That was 2 years, up to $6 million. And he was an All-Pro and a Pro Bowler in 2022. And I hold him in high regard. I thought, well, what's Braden Mann going to get? Braden Mann was compensated quite well for his contributions last season, and he should be. And I think now that he's sort of on the map a little bit, he'll finally get the recognition that I believe he deserves.
There you go. So Mann gets the deal. Last one for you. Brandon Graham has said that he does not plan on retiring. Andrew, do you anticipate 55 will be back next season?
Yeah, Howie Roseman at the NFL Combine was asked about Brandon Graham, and he said he's welcome in Philadelphia anytime. If Brandon Graham wants to come back, and obviously he can still play, you bring him back, and you count on him as a fifth edge rusher. Maybe you kind of have an agreement in August, so you don't have to maybe put him through the full gauntlet of training camp, and you bring him back into the fold as long as he's in football shape. He's proven that he can still play and also help along the interior. So there's value there, not only on the field, but as a mentor and, of course, in the locker room.
Andrew DiCecco, of course, the football offseason, it continues with free agency and then the draft next month, April 23rd. We'll be all over that. We are getting in within a month to the draft. And, of course, you can check out more from the Inside the Birds guys over at InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew, thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, Mike. Talk soon.
Busy day, busy stuff. Still a little quiet on the Eagles front, but they did make that decision today to do that restructuring of the deal for Landon Dickerson. We appreciate Andrew DiCecco, as always, and the Football at Four guys. Inside the Birds, the source for Eagles intel, and the Inside the Birds podcast is brought to you by Ocean Casino Resorts. The Madness Zone, March 19th through the 22nd. Catch every college basketball game and place your bets at Atlantic City's best sports book while you watch, eat, and drink all tournament long. Turn it into a getaway with the Madness Zone Hotel Package, an overnight stay plus a $50 food and beverage credit. Taste Atlantic City runs through March 31st with 3-course menus for $60. See Burt Kreischer April 3rd and 4th, and Lenny Kravitz May 16th at Ovation Hall. Book now, theoceanac.com. When we come back, it's today's Nuggets on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. We got a lot of Nuggets, I'm sure, today. We had Italy winning last night, Sixers losing more guys, and our poll question for the day. Check that out over at Mike Gill Show and more. It's the Sports Bash. March Madness right here. A week from today. It starts at noon. Get ready for it. Can't wait. Can't wait. Brackets will be out Sunday night. Ready to go. March Madness right here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Gill. Got another chance for you to qualify for that Phillies trip to Baltimore. Listen for that contest sounder. And if you follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you get bonus chances. And if you're watching the show live on YouTube or Twitter X, we give you bonus chances throughout the day. And we are going to have a great time. Opening day watch party. It's going to be at the Anchorage in Summers Point. And this is going to be great. Wear your Phillies gear. Come on out. The Anchorage is a great spot in Summers Point. They have a great TV set up in there. Really big bar area. Looking forward to doing it live at the Anchorage this year. 823 Bay Avenue in Summers Point. Earnshaw, the Nuggets will be live that day. What's going on, Nick?
What's going on, Mr. Mike Gill? Oh, yeah, I can't wait for opening day. We're going to have a great time. I'm going to break out one of my new Philly shirts I got for Christmas, one of the T-shirts, got to wear it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm doing that. Breaking out the new guy for opening day, for sure.
Nice. All right, I look forward to that. Yes, everybody wear your Phillies gear. We'll be there from 2 to 6. The game starts at 4. And we can't wait for that. And, of course, we're giving away that bus trip to go see the Phillies and the Orioles. And, again, the trip is 2 lower-level tickets. The seats are between left field and third base. You'll be sitting with all Phillies fans on the Phillies side of the field. The bus will leave around 1 o'clock, which means you'll get there around 3. So you have most of the day to hang out in the Inner Harbor and walk around. They're going to provide lunch on the bus and also to and from in the motor coach. It is a deluxe motor coach bus, so you can go to the bathroom.
Yeah, there you go. That's a plus, to say the least, having that on the bus. So, no, opening day is going to be fun. If you look outside right now, you wouldn't think opening day is right around the corner.
Ooh.
It is snowing out right now. Snowing.
Where?
It was where I'm at.
Ooh,
Blackwood. In Blackwood, it is snowing right now. Unbelievable.
I am out on the snow.
It is snowing. It was 80 degrees yesterday. It is now snowing, Mike Gill. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. I can't stand the weather in this singular area of the globe because it's just all over the place. I don't know how we go from summer to snow in a matter of a couple of hours. It's amazing.
Josh, can you look out the window and see if it's snowing here? I mean, we are like, by the way, former Eagle defensive end Bryce Huff
just retired.
How about that?
Yeah, that's a nugget right there. 27 years of age. 27 years of age, calling it quits on his career.
Now, here's a nugget for you. I told Josh if he would check to see if it was snowing outside. There's a window behind me. But he went outside somewhere. Did he go outside?
Why don't you look out the window behind you?
I can't. The window's closed behind me, but I said, can you go look? I figured he was going to look out the window behind me.
Yeah, you got to pull up a blind or something,
That ties into our poll question today.
It does. All right, here we go.
What do you got, Josh? Is it snowing outside here or not?
It's snowing, but it's not laying.
It's snowing outside here.
Yes. There's flakes out there, but the ground is clear. There's no snow on the ground. It's just a big wet mess outside.
Unbelievable.
It's laying here. It's on trees and things of that nature. So be careful if you're driving out there right now.
You got another stuff. Josh, could you go check to see if it's snowing? I figured he's going to look out the window behind me. Where'd you go? Did you go outside?
I went out into the foyer.
What about this window?
Well, I was trying to stay out of your shot for the YouTube and the X people. You don't want some rando. Listen, just because other people love to walk behind me and Nick when we're producing shows doesn't mean I'm going to disrespect Mike Gill when he's producing the show.
That's organic. People walk around. People work here.
That's not organic.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's ignorant.
Nah, I don't.
You know how many times I've had Billy just wandering behind a camera shot?
I don't agree with that at all. I feel that's, hey, there's, you ever watch like, Fox News or CNN. I'll give both because I don't want to like offend anybody. But like they got people walking in the background there, because it's a news organization. People are working. That's organic. You should see people walking around in the back.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think it's fair. It's fair. All right.
Hallways. There's no hallway behind you.
No, but the window is right here. And I said, Josh, check to see if it's snowing. I can understand if I said, but don't use this window. I figure, hey, Josh, see if it's snowing. You
know,
use this
I also
window right behind me.
Can I add to this? I also think he would have to move the jerseys. It could have fallen down. It could have came crashing down.
Now, hold on a second. You see what you do here, Earnshaw?
So, all right. So Gil's going to get up. He's going to look out the window. There you go.
It's snowing.
It's snowing. We know it's snowing now. Look what I started.
As simple as that.
That's awesome. That is outstanding. I don't know how it goes from 80 to snow. It just makes no sense. All right.
When you just said it was snowing, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
No one has said that before. Like, this is the first I've heard it. Now, that window doesn't get open. Like, it doesn't even open. But you can move the blinds and look out the window.
Right. Correct. All right. Now, I have another gripe. I don't know if it's a gripe. I just have an opinion on something you and Josh, put out on social media earlier today. I walk out of a meeting and boom, I get this text from you. How would you say this? So you said today, Josh texted you that he would be in around 10:32 a.m. Yes. And the question on the poll question was, would you say around 10:30 or give the exact time of 10:32? What kind of person are you? Now, for me, I think it's a good thing that Josh, on time, that's a good producer right there. He knows the exact time to the second, to the minute. Fantastic. Me, on the other hand, maybe not so good. I say, I'll be in around 10:30-ish. I always add the ish around because here's my thing. There always seems something has to come up on my travels around South Jersey, Delaware, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania areas. Something's always coming up. I'm always running into there's an accident. There's traffic. There's something, or I got to stop off in my tire. The air's low in it. Something's always going wrong on my trips and my extravagance. So I always say 10:30-ish is usually what I would say in that type of scenario, Mr. Mike Gill.
That's acceptable. I mean, yeah, I get it. 10:30-ish is fine. I would say approximately like APPOX 10:30, around 10:30. Like, hey, I'll be in around 10:30. So if I get there at 10:28 or 10:32, I think around 10:30 covers within probably plus or minus 10 minutes on either side.
Yeah, that's why I add the
round number in the middle. And that gives you the buffer on both sides of the 0 or the 5.
Sure.
I got the text from Josh today. It says, I'm getting to the studio around 10:32 a.m. Now, the a.m. I don't need either because I don't assume you're going to get here at 10:32 p.m. That would just be idiotic, and I would tell you don't even show up at that point. So I don't need the a.m. either, but the 10:32 a.m. is a little precise.
It is very precise.
Psychotic almost.
Well, maybe here's the thing, though. I think the approximate number comes from what you get on your phone if you have the maps in. You have the maps in, the Waze, whatever.
Waze, it'll say you will be there at 10:28.
Yes.
But I don't need 10:28. Just say, hey, I'll be in around 10:30.
See, I also don't do the approximate time because there are times where I know I'm going to get there before the number. Because I always make it this. When I put in where I'm going somewhere, right? Let's say I don't put it in the Waze, I put it in my Apple phone. All right. I put it in the Siri. All right. In the Apple Maps. I put in the Apple Maps, I put the destination I need to go to. All right, let's say it's 10:32 is the time that says I will arrive at the destination. I want to beat that number. I also want to beat that number. It is my goal that I want to beat that number every single time. All right, 10:32, I'll tell you what. Guess what? I'm gonna get there at 10:31 or 10:30 or 10:29. I want to beat that number.
I am on a race to beat that number all the time now. When you tell me 10:30, I'm always trying to cut time off. That's the whole game is, all right, it tells me 10:32. Can I cut 3 to 4 minutes off of that time and get there before?
What is this text? I see you put a text up on the YouTube and the X.
Yeah, we got text messages coming in.
That's one game.
Nick's on time. You just leave games early.
See, this is terrible. I had to leave one game early because I was with a gigantic group and they wanted to beat the traffic. I was my only ride home. It was my only ride home that day.
Yeah, but you're within like Uber Lyft area up there.
The problem was I was with a gigantic group on a bus. My car was then down the shore and I had to go get my car.
Oh, so you had to come all the way down.
I had to come all the way back. It was not a good decision by Nick that day. Not a good decision.
That's acceptable.
So that was the only reason I've left games early. I have stories where people have seen me aggravated when I was younger going to games with my parents, and they even said, no, Nick looked kind of, a little ticked off that you guys were leaving early. My parents would leave the games early. I would not want to leave the games early. You would see it all over my face. It was written on my face that I did not want to leave the game early.
I'm not a leave the game early guy, but I'll tell you, as you're getting older, sometimes you're almost starting to think about it a little bit, but I try to hold on as long as I can. So, by the way, the poll question today, Josh texted me that he would be in today at 10:32 a.m. If you were texting someone, would you say around 10:30 or give the exact time of 10:32? What kind of person are you? Well, right now, it is about 70-30. Which way do you think is winning? Psychopath or I can trust you?
I add the ish. I cover my bases. I say around 10:30-ish. So I can cover both sides of the coin if I'm late or if I'm before. If I'm early.
Now, Josh, do you think we have people that agree with you that say they do, in fact, give the exact time? Or do you think that people give a more approximate time?
I think there's both people out there. I think that your stereotypical generalization of labeling me as a psychopath either means that I am way more high-level intelligence than people want to give me credit for, or I'm just a complete idiot.
Well, I'm asking you what you think the people are voting. Do you think 70% are agreeing with you and do, in fact, give the exact time? Or do most people give the round number and say, I will be in around 10:30?
I think most people give the around number because most people are not the overthinking psychos that I am.
Well, you just said it. You are a psycho. You said it, not me.
No, I said overthinking psycho. See,
Well,
you call me a psychopath. There's a difference.
They're one and the same.
No, they're not.
An
There's nuance here.
overthinking psycho is in the family of psychotic.
Listen, for me, according to Mike Gill, I'm psycho for loving flats, and all my flat lovers out there, the listeners who love the flats. All right, so
there are certainly more people that are in the flats, which is absolutely astounding to me.
People.
But right now, over 70% would just say, "Hey, I'll be in around 10:30."
Yeah.
27% would give the exact time of 10:32.
Cover.
It makes me laugh every time I see it, though. It's like I get the text this morning and it says, "I will be in at 10:32."
Here's
what I'm
the
doing
thing.
is I'm literally just looking at the screen, saying it into my
Yes.
phone, and that's it.
That's what I say.
Yeah, but if you're saying it into the phone, you would just go, "Hey, I'll be there at around 10:30."
Yeah, but see, now you're asking me to do another layer of thinking. We have been trying to spend the last 10 years trying to get Josh to do less overthinking, not add more into the bundle of joy.
Well, I'm trying to teach you over 10 years that you don't have to think that much, and obviously you're thinking too much about overthinking.
I am, yes.
So in the future, I want you to try just saying, it says 10:32. Hey, I will be in around 10:30.
So now you want me to remember another thing.
Well, I'm just saying. So this time, if you're in your car and maybe you forgot something, and I look at the clock, I said, well, he said 10:32. He's not here yet.
This is too much thinking for me. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. I don't think at all. I just go. I just do.
Text message coming on. Cole from LBI says saying 10:32 is legit psychopath. It's a different sociopath. Excuse me. He said it's different than a psychopath.
I love this conversation.
I mean,
this
there
might
are
be the best
differences,
nugget
yes.
ever.
Yeah. Oh, listen. He said the people, Chris and Delaware, the people who give the exact time most likely have OCD. Would you put yourself in the OCD category?
Yes.
That you need to take the time, that you need to give the exact time? Like, what would happen if you told me around 10:30?
It's not that anything would happen. It's just that my brain doesn't default to that.
Even after all the conversations? I mean, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation. It just makes me laugh when it comes back up. And I'm laughing today because I'm sitting here and I get the message that says, hey, my Waze says, my GPS says I'll be there at 10:32 a.m.
I
look
look to just, for me, I just look to cover my ass. I don't want to, because also you have to think about it.
Okay, well, by the way, it's not like there's a time that, like, you have to, like, it's not like, hey, you have to be here at 10:30. You just kind of get here when, you can.
Well, my thing is I try to communicate so you're not looking around like, where's Josh? I got to do blah, blah, blah,
Like,
blah.
over the last few weeks, I'll be in at 11:08, 11:18, 12:03, and I'm like, dude, am I going to get murdered one of these days? Like, this is psychotic behavior. Like, I'll be in around noon. I'll get in around 12:30. I'll be there at about 12:45. Like, I'm starting to get concerned. Like, I'm going to get, like, chopped up in pieces here. 12:03 is like, whoa.
Josh, save your ass and just say ish. Add ish around at the end.
Ish
You'll be
for
fine.
everything.
Give
Add
me a
ish.
0 or a 5. This is the way it goes.
No.
It's
ish.
a top of the hour, a 15, a 30, a 45, or the next hour. That's all.
No, I'll put around. Yeah, you add the 0 or the 5, fine. But you add the ish at the end because remember, you also got to walk from your car to the destination. So it'll be like 10:30. It'll be 10:33 by the time he walks in.
That's a whole nother issue. How many times does Waze give you like directions, but you look at the thing like that ain't real because I still got to park. I still got to walk into wherever I'm going.
Yeah, but it's telling you how to get to the parking lot, not to get to the venue. So it is real to get to where you're going. Once you get to where you are, now anything after that, they don't take into account that you have to park and then walk.
And then walk.
Of course they
Yeah, they don't. That's not taken
very
into consideration. That's why
What
you got to
else?
add the ish.
What else you got today?
I don't even know. Do I? How much time do I have here? So it's awesome.
minutes.
Mike Gill
time
got
you
up
need?
from his chair. Josh went and looked outside to see if it was snowing. We completed today on the Nuggets that it's snowing, northeast weather sucks, and that you should add ish to every time you say you're going to be somewhere. That is what I think we have gotten to today and figured out.
Well, I'm just like saying that the next time that I get a message, I'm hoping that he learns something from this conversation. Say, you know what? I did take something from the conversation. It says 10:33. I'm just going to say around 10:30.
Ish.
I don't need the ish. Ish is
I'm always-
fine. Yeah. Ish
The
is
way I
fine,
move-
Not Ish Smith hair.
but I don't need
No.
the ish.
No, got to add the ish. I cover my ass either way. If I'm early, if I'm late.
Nick,
Run
were you a
into
fan of Ish
problems.
Smith?
Yes, I was a big Ish Smith guy. I actually scored 50 with him in 2K before. That's another story for another day. All right, moving along. Nugget number 2. I did want to talk about Aaron Nola saving the day for the U.S. team yesterday, even though he didn't really care about saving the day for the U.S. team. I think Josh has this sound. We'll play this. Here's Aaron Nola talking about the USA team. And, they really didn't care about saving their kind of season there in the WBC.
I don't think anybody in the clubhouse was worried about, USA getting in or not getting in. We were just focusing on the game. We're not going to go out there and, try to score a certain amount of runs or, do this and that just because, another team. It's a big league baseball game. We're going to go out and try to win it however we can. We're going to go out and try to win the baseball game, and that's what we did tonight.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, big game Nola showed up last night. I mean, that was, he pitched outstanding. At 5 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 5 Ks, 69 pitches for Mr. Aaron Nola. He looked good. That's a positive sign for the Phillies, not just, Italy and U.S.
I agree.
It's a positive sign for the Phils.
I agree. And by the way, it's a decent lineup. You got Duran from the Red Sox. You got
Rosarena
from the Mariners, Aranda, Kirk. You definitely had major leaguers in the Mexican lineup there last night. So it was good to see. And it went 5 innings. It wasn't just like, hey, he pitched good for 2 innings and they got him out. It was he did throw 70 pitches, I think 69 pitches in the game last night. So they left him out there for his full brigade. It was good. And I said before, I don't have a lot of worry about Nola, so I don't look at last night as that makes me feel better. I look at Nola as he'll give you like 18 really good starts and like good starts, 10 starts where you're probably like, he did not pitch well, and then the other group of 10 starts are probably just average.
Yeah, it made me feel better. It made me feel a little bit better because all the injuries he had last year. He looked good. Command looked good. That's what I wanted to see out of Aaron Nola. So it makes you feel a little bit better going into the season. Okay, he looks healthy. He looks fresh. You hope that carries into the regular season as opening day, as it's snowing today, is upon us.
I would agree, and I think it's a great sign that Nola seems to be. He's got better velocity now than he did at any point during spring training. He had about 94 in the game last night, so good sign for Aaron Nola.
All right, we got a couple. We got one sports nugget in there. We found one. We were able to sneak one in there. which
Now,
was a
we
good.
talked about this earlier. Are you in or out on the Thanksgiving Eve NFL game?
Out.
Wow.
Totally out. I'm glad you brought that up. I know
Totally
I'm running
out.
short on time. I'm out on the Thanksgiving Eve. No. That is no reason to have it on Thanksgiving Eve. Black Friday, cool with that. Thanksgiving Day, cool with that. Thanksgiving Eve, I'm out on. That is a time for celebration for a lot of folks. Okay? That's a time for celebration. You go out, you have a good time. Okay? Don't need the football game on that night. I want to watch it on Black Friday and Thanksgiving. Enjoy my turkey the next day. Don't precursor me with football the day before
I'll do
on
the
a
Black
Wednesday.
Friday game can go out. I'll take
No.
the Thanksgiving Eve game.
Absolutely the opposite. Black Friday, keep the football. Thanksgiving Eve, none.
Damn.
I'll leave it with that.
All right,
Thank you.
There you go. There's today.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Thank you. I will talk to you at approximately 4:31 tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
All right. There's the Nuggets today on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. All right, coming up, 5 o'clock hours on the way, and you have another chance to qualify for the bus trip to see the Phillies play the Orioles right now. Caller 7-609-573-3776. Caller number 7 right now. You are entered for a chance to see the Phillies play the Orioles in Baltimore at Camden Yards. You'll get a round-trip motor coach transportation, lower-level tickets to the game, seated with other Phillies fans, plus plenty of time to explore the Inner Harbor and the Camden Yards area. You'll be fed on the bus ride down to Baltimore. Caller 7 right now. 609-573-3776. You must be present to win at the Anchorage in Summers Point for our Phillies opening day watch party. We will be live at the Anchorage, 823 Bay Avenue in Summers Point to watch the Phillies and Rangers on opening day, and one lucky winner will win a pair of tickets to see the Phillies in Baltimore. All right, final hour, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Phils and Orioles playing spring training tomorrow. We've got a trip going down to Baltimore. We're sending one lucky Phillies fan down to Baltimore, the Inner Harbor, to see the Phillies and Orioles during the season. And our most recent qualifiers, we've got Kevin in North Cape May. We got Phyllis in Dennis Township. We had John in Cape May. We got Joe in North Wildwood. We got Chris in Summers Point. We got Richard in the Villas. And there's bonus chances for you to enter. You know, obviously, listening to the radio, listen for the sounder is the best way. But if you're watching the show on YouTube or on the Twitter X platform, on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel, periodically during the commercial breaks, we will post a sign up on the screen, and that will explain to you all you have to do, and that gets you an entry. Or follow us on our social media platforms at 973 ESPN on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook. And those will give you some more bonus chances to enter as well. All right, Mike Gill, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. By the way, Sixers tonight, they take on the Pistons. If you weren't listening earlier, we had Adam Aaronson, who covers the Sixers for Philly Voice, who told us Adem Bona is out tonight, and we don't have an update on Andre Drummond, but he was downgraded to questionable, and it looks like the Sixers could be without a center tonight when they take on the Pistons. Mind you, the Pistons are the number one seed and have legitimate NBA championship aspirations, and now the Sixers will not have Maxey, Paul George, Joel Embiid, Kelly Oubre, and at least Adem Bona, and possibly Andre Drummond tonight. So obviously they are a bit shorthanded in the game. Do we have a spread on that game tonight between the Sixers and the Pistons, which, by the way, is in Detroit, and the spread on that game is 15.5. What are you doing on that one? 15.5, Detroit at home with all the injuries for Philadelphia.
I'm riding with Motor City.
Yeah, me too. I mean, they're getting clobbered tonight.
They're not going to get clobbered, but it's going to be one of those games where it's like Edgecombe's going to have like 22, and like the rest of the team, next high score will be like 10.
Well, right now they don't really have a center. And as Adam pointed out earlier, Detroit is 3 deep at the center position.
That's their strength.
It's the one spot they are very, very deep. You know, they don't have a lot of great scoring. Cade Cunningham kind of leads them in scoring, so they don't really have that great secondary score, but they are tough inside. It's a very Pistons-like team where they're tough-minded.
Old school Pistons,
yeah. And the Sixers tonight, I literally, to venture to guess what they would do at the center spot, I'm imagining you're going to play Jabari Walker there.
So it's like Walker at center, Watford at power forward.
I would think your lineup tonight will be Grimes, Edgecombe, Watford, Jabari, and Barlow. They would be the 5 guys I can imagine getting the start tonight.
Yeah,
maybe Cam Payne, but, that means – no, I would think that Payne comes off the bench. You got Grimes and Edgecombe in the backcourt, and then you go Jabari Walker as your center, Barlow and – what did I say? Barlow? Oh, and Watford.
Watford.
Yeah, that's probably how they
Listen, tonight's game is going to be like Drago versus Apollo Creed. If he dies, he dies. I mean, it's just, they're going to die tonight.
Well, they're certainly a little shorthanded tonight, and I can't imagine that they win this game tonight. But we shall see. The Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. So that's tonight. By the way, Flyers play the Wild tonight. That game will be on our sister station, Rock 104.1. And that game is, an 8 o'clock puck drop. It is an ESPN Plus game, but you can listen to the game on our sister station, Rock 104.1. Flyers did win last night against the Capitals, so they are on a back-to-back tonight.
Tonight's game will be more competitive than the Sixers versus the Pistons.
I would think so. If you're looking for competitive action. Now, here's what I want to say on the Flyers. They are 8 points out, in the Metropolitan Division for the 3rd spot in the Metro. In terms of the wild card, they are only 7 points out. So they're closer to the wild card than they are the Metro, but they are 7 points out They have played 64 games, so they have just under 20 games left to play. And the Flyers play the Minnesota Wild tonight, who right now you would be probably hard-pressed to say the Flyers are better than them. They are the third seed in the Central, but the Central, 87 points for Minnesota. Philadelphia is at 71 points.
I will just say the Flyers are a weird team because some games they show up and they look amazing. Other games they show up and look like they're lost, dazed, and confused.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I don't know what to make of that team. They seemingly are kind of stuck in this no man's land of, you win a game that you're not supposed to, you count them out, then they win, they get bombed by the Rangers who were terrible, then you come back, you win against the Capitals. I mean, it's just been a bizarre kind of, season for them. But here they are. If you are looking for the Flyers tonight, they will be on our sister station, Rock 104.1. The Eagles did introduce Rick Woolen today to the media, and he actually had some funny things to say. He talked about how excited he is to play with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, and that I look at that signing as a very smart and shrewd move by Howie Roseman. Now, we talked with Jeff Mosher yesterday, and he talked about, hey, listen, maybe there wasn't a multi-year deal out there for him. That's why the Eagles ended up getting him and said, hey, listen, you come here and you can kind of remake your value. He's had some bonehead penalties, stuff like that. So, yes, this isn't like an A-plus move, but I certainly, to me, think that getting Woolen in here is, at worst, a B plus, A minus. I really like the move. I've been a Woolen fan the last couple of years. So he was a guy I mentioned the other day. The next name that I'm going to try to speak into happening would be Juwan Jennings. Now, I don't know that they can make that work. My take on this is, to me, he would be a good slot guy as a big, kind of like your, big body between the hash marks. The other thing would be, if in fact you did trade A.J. Brown, would he be the guy that would take over there? Let's hear an update on where A.J. Brown. Don't discount. Andrew DiCecco was on at Football 4. He said he still believes that A.J. Brown will be traded. This is what they think in New England.
It doesn't do Philly really any favors to make the deal now because of the massive hit that they take on their cap. So that's why I've kind of indicated this could take some time.
Who knows if this is a game of telephone, but talking to people who work in the league for teams, they all believe A.J. Brown's going to end up in New England. So I'm sort of with Tom, like this probably takes a little while. They've got the runway here. But to me, eventually, and now that you have Dobbs too, it's less of you've got to give us the 1 and the 2. No, we have a good player who we think can be a number 1. How about a 2 and a 4? I think it's eventually going to get done.
Okay, that was on NBC Sports New England with Tom Curran and Mike Girardi, who are kind of the Patriots insiders there. They said what I said the other day about Dobbs. Now I don't have to give you what you're asking for because I have Dobbs. But if I wait till June 1st, I'm helping you out.
Right.
So both sides can kind of have the wink and say, listen, help us out. We'll lower our price if you don't need it right now.
And this brings us to your Juwan Jennings point. Is there a scenario where the Eagles say, we're going to sign Juwan Jennings, we're going to draft a wide receiver, we're going to draft a tight end, and then when we get to right before, mandatory minicamp, right, that 3-day period in June, right, we move A.J. Brown.
Yeah. I listen, McMullen was on Monday and Tuesday. And he said flat out, it's not if, it's when for A.J. Brown.
I just thought it was interesting hearing it from guys who are covering the Patriots because they seem pretty confident this deal is going to happen.
Yeah, the one thing, though, I would take with a grain of salt on the Patriots because I think they want this to happen. And they're looking at it from outside, looking in, and they're looking at what we're saying. They're just putting the dots and crossing the T's and dotting the I's this way. Well, the cap hit helps if they do it after June 1st.
Right.
So they're reading into it in that capacity. I think the question is he behind the scenes pushing them of get something done? Come on, where are we at? Can we get something done here? it's been eerily quiet on the AJ front. Is that, an ominous sign here that AJ has just kind of backed off and not said a word?
Well, I'll remind folks, this was what Albert Breer said on the Uncovering the Eagles podcast with Jeff McClain. He was asked about the A.J. Brown side of it. Here's what Albert Breer, NFL Insider, had to say.
I know that A.J. Brown's camp has done recon and checked in with different teams to sort of figure out, like, okay, who's really interested. And I think part of that to me is maybe how hard do we want to push this? If you know who is involved and you know some of the teams out there, then that is going to call, okay, is the grass really greener? There's some of that interesting back and forth happening here.
Is the grass really greener? In New England, they went to the Super Bowl last year. Where else? Well, only the Eagles and probably AJ's camp have those answers. So where else? I don't know. Who else would be interested in trading for A.J. Brown? Who else would A.J. be interested in going to play for? Was it either, hey, I'll play for New England or Philadelphia? Or is he like, I just want to get out of here. I don't care where you send me?
I think that's part of where Philadelphia looks at it as well. Is I don't think Philadelphia is trying to trade A.J. Brown. I don't think they're trying to, give him the short end of the stick. I think that they would have him back. We've heard that numerous times. But if you're Philadelphia, Mike, you're looking at A.J. Brown and saying, look, we like you. The guys like you. If we're going to move on from you, we'll send you somewhere you want to go.
Yeah, well, we'll send you somewhere you want to go. They have to be willing to play along first.
Well, that's true.
Too.
But
they also have to have enough to give Philadelphia in return. And if it's after June 1st, that's a whole nother ball of wax.
Right, and that's what Tom Curran and Mike Girardi were saying, which is the idea that both teams could just wait till June 1st, get the deal done, and then call it a day.
And that's where draft night, keep in mind. Now, the Patriots have the 31st pick in the draft, Philadelphia has the 23rd pick in the draft. If you get to draft night and New England goes through the draft and they don't take any wide receivers, their wide receiving unit is not all that great.
They released Stephon Diggs, too.
And they brought in Romeo Doubs, but other than Doubs, they don't have a whole heck of a lot. Now, you can make an argument, hey, Doubs is pretty good, but he's not a number one guy. And if they don't draft another wide receiver,
then your number two receiver is Matt Collins.
Yeah, is he? I thought he was a free agent. Is he not?
Is he a free agent?
I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't quote me on that. I thought he was a free agent, but I could be wrong. But that being said, if they don't draft a receiver earlier, now they could take one in the 4th or 5th round, but that would give you a little bit of hints on maybe they are looking to make a move. By the way, one wide receiver is off the board. Tutu Atwell, we talked about him the other day. He has signed with the Miami Dolphins, so he was a guy that we looked at as a slot receiver, somebody that we're like, if you were looking for that classic slot guy, he is now off the board. Tutu Atwell, the former Ram, he is going to Miami to play with the Dolphins.
Matt Collins is still under contract with the Patriots for one more year.
Okay, so Hollins is there, but I wouldn't be like, okay, now we have Dobbs and Hollins. I thought the big move today, and this is interesting because the Bengals have now added 3 players in free agency. They went out and got Jonathan Allen today. So now they've got Allen on the defensive line, Boye Mafe as an edge rusher, and Brian Cook, the safety. The Bengals are really trying to remake their defense so that Joe Burrow has a little bit of help because their defense was embarrassingly bad.
Do we give them credit for trying, or do we criticize
them
for waiting so long?
Well, they did this a couple years ago when they went to the Super Bowl. They tried to remake their offensive line, and we gave them credit for that. Like, hey, their offensive line was terrible, and they went out and tried to beef up the offensive line, and it never really helped them out. It never came around. But now their defense has been so bad the last 2 or 3 seasons because keep in mind, even when Burrow got hurt and they had Joe Flacco, they had a chance to win some games. Their defense was just not competitive. But I'll give them some credit. Those are they are one of the teams that have stood out to me so far of targeting an area that they needed help in. I don't know. I feel like the free agency has been kind of underwhelming. It was an underwhelming class this year. So maybe the Raiders. The Raiders went out and got Linderbaum, and I thought that was, to me, that's probably the best move. I'm trying to think. I don't want to misspeak, but right now I would say Linderbaum to the Raiders is the move I like the best.
Interesting. I mean, I love Linderbaum to the Raiders, so I don't think you're off.
Well,
point
my
there.
reasoning is not because I think that's going to help them win the Super Bowl this year, but to me, it's a sign that the Raiders are finally growing up. It's a sign that the Raiders are finally being run correctly. You know, in the past, they would trade for Devontae Adams. Well, you can't get Devontae Adams the ball because you have no quarterback.
Right.
You can't get Devontae Adams the ball because your offensive line stinks. Then they draft Genty in the first round with like the 5th pick. Well, you need an offensive line to block for Genty. You can't run the ball if you don't have a good line. They go out and get the skill players, but they don't have anything to block for them. Finally, this offseason, the Raiders say, okay, enough with this. Let's go and sign the best center on the market and beef up our offensive line. Not the best center on the market. Well, he is the best center, but maybe the best player on the market. That's why, to me, that has been probably, in my mind, the best move so far this offseason. Now, I have to look back at some of the moves and go from there. But that one's the one that stands out to me the most.
I love the Linderbaum move. I will say that the guy that I think definitely needs to be considered as well is the fact that Mike Evans going to the 49ers, if he stays healthy, he is easily the best wide receiver they've had in a while in San Francisco. So I think that obviously, health be there, but still, that
I don't know
dude,
if that's fair, though. Easily the best? I mean, Deebo Samuel, when he was there 2 years ago, was pretty darn good. And Ayuk had an unbelievable year a couple of years ago. I'm not saying they're better than Evans, but is Evans going to outperform what those guys did?
I think he could.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, if he's healthy. The problem is if he's
Which is
healthy.
the problem with everybody else in San Francisco.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's older. He's not the same guy. We see these guys, fall off the cliff. But I think you're not giving enough credit to what these other receivers have done there. I mean, Ayuk got himself what? What kind of contract did Ayuk get?
I'll double check.
I mean, he got paid a ridiculous.
He got paid a lot of money.
Yeah, he got paid a ridiculous amount of money because he had that kind of a season. But I agree that Evans is better than those guys. But you said far and away, or whatever word you used. I mean, that being said, I do agree that Mike Evans, prime Mike Evans.
Ayuk got 4 years, 120.
Okay, so he got himself $120 million based on what he did in San Francisco. And Deebo Samuel, while he didn't have like a 1,500-yard year, he was very impactful for them.
He was more of like an offensive weapon.
He's not a wide number one wide receiver like Evans, but he's more of a playmaker. But that goes, like I'm saying, yes, I agree that Evans is the best quote-unquote receiver traditionally of that group. But all those guys, Ayuk had 1,300 yards. He had 15 touchdowns over a 2-year period. He had over 1,000 yards back-to-back seasons. Now, he's not better than Evans, but I forget the wording that you used. But keep in mind, Mike Evans is, 33 years old now?
He is. So I understand that.
Coming off multiple injury seasons.
Yeah, I just think that if he is healthy, that's a huge boom.
I
for
like
the
him
49ers.
if he's healthy, no question. I would agree with that. If he's healthy, I would say
I was trying to think of somebody else who I really like their addition.
As am I. I'm going through in my head.
I'm trying to get away from the Eagles because I love the Reek Woolen addition. So I'm trying to think of someone who's not Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't like Malik Willis, $45 million. I mean, the Dolphins are saying we're giving this guy $45 million. I think that's a head-scratching decision there.
I think that's poor.
And I hate to, say that Willis can't play. I just haven't seen enough of him, but $45 million, that's
Here's
what I have a hard
seen
time
of
with.
Willis. He was good in college. Not great. He was good, not great. He got to the NFL. He was asked to help save the Titans. He couldn't do it. He goes to the Green Bay Packers under Sean Mannion's tutelage.
I don't know if it's fair to say he was asked to. He got picked in the 3rd round, right?
Yeah, but they put him into situations where kind of asking him to save the day.
It's hard to ask a 3rd round pick to save the franchise.
They did,
though.
and he failed. And Green Bay got more out of him than anyone has ever gotten out of him in a couple starts here and there when Jordan Love got injured. And so basically he parlayed a handful of games here and there, and the defensive
That's what
coordinator.
these quarterbacks do, though. You get 6 games to flash. You better flash because you get a chance at $45 million if you show you have a pulse in those games.
And I'm sure that Jeff Hafley being in Green Bay helped with that signing too. You think?
Absolutely. Well, and by the way, from all accounts, Willis is a tremendous human being.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of stories about charity work he's done and the kind of just genuine locker room guy. Like I remember, what was his name? Who's the guy who covers the Packers? Rob Domofsky.
Yeah.
He was telling a story on SportsCenter one time about how like after the one win, Willis like went around the locker room and like basically bought like everybody like lunch. You know.
Well, I've seen video of him that he didn't even know he was on camera. He's walking down the street and handing like clothes out of his bag.
The combine, yeah.
Clothes out of his bag to people, like homeless people on the street, stuff like that. And so that kind of stuff. Like he is by all accounts, a tremendous, tremendous human being. 609-403-0973. Wouldn't rule out the Raiders on a A.J. Brown for Max Crosby trade during the draft or after June 1st. I mean, I talked to Q Myers about this a lot. He doesn't see that happening at all. And quite frankly, did you see what Max Crosby posted today?
I saw he posted last night.
Or whatever it was, last night or today.
Yeah, I saw it.
Basically like, let's run this bleep back. Let's go. He's excited to be back in Vegas all of a sudden.
Yeah, then he put the picture of the Undertaker resurrecting.
So it doesn't sound like he needs or wants to get out of there.
Sounds to me like he's going to be at WrestleMania next month in Vegas.
Well, I think he's maybe a spectator.
I'm just saying.
Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. We're just talking about Malik Willis. You can help out too. Branches Outreach, they're looking for donations from our listeners. They've welcomed over 10,000 guests into their outreach center and served more than 12,000 meals for those in need. That's why they can use your help. Think about it. It's snowing out right now, and there are people who have no place to go. Well, if you help out, they accept donations of food and personal care items all week long, 9 a.m. to 1:30 at the Branches Outreach in Rio Grande. We urge you to give your support and donate today. Your donations, small, large, whatever you can do, are needed and appreciated. You can follow them on Facebook at The Branches Outreach or check out their website online at thebranchesoutreach.org. Hopefully, you can make a donation to help out the many people in Cape May County, over 10,000 guests that they had go into their outreach center last year. All right. Coming up, Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Phil's in action today down in Clearwater. Actually, no, Phil's are off today. No, they played today.
They played today.
I was going to say, they played today. They just weren't on TV today. But Phil's down in action today in Clearwater. We'll get you up to date on all the Phil's news. And one name has been sent back to the minor league, which is disappointing but expected. We'll explain next on the Sports Bash. 5:31 down in Clearwater today. The Phils and the Blue Jays. Phils win 8-5. Some interesting notes from the game. And, the World Baseball Classic's going on. I think people have kind of been consumed by that, so spring training kind of has taken a back seat. But a couple interesting notes that you should know. Trey Turner did have 2 hits today. He is hitting 167. Brandon Marsh, 0 for 4 today. He's hitting 158. Alec Boehm homered today. Boehm's having a great spring. He's hitting 333 with a 348 on base, 571 slug for Alec Boehm. He's been one of the few regulars, along with Turner and Marsh, that have played. The other guy, Garcia, 0 for 3, hitting 182 in spring training so far. Stott's cooled off a little bit. He's hitting 444, the 560 on base percentage. Otto Kemp is hitting 241 in spring training. Justin Crawford, 2 hits today, hitting 250 on the spring. He does have 2 hits today and 2 runs, and you got to take a look at, the speed and the stolen bases as this thing goes on. I don't know what – we talked about this last week. I don't know what Crawford's batting average is going to be, but he hit 340 in AAA. Maybe he hits 270, 280. Who knows? But Crawford, 250 so far in spring training. Dylan Moore is a guy to keep your eye on for the last roster spot. He is hitting 200, though. And I don't know if that means him or Brian De La Cruz gets one of those last spots there. Rafael Marchand as the backup catcher, 273 with a 346 on-base percentage. So looks like Marchand obviously doesn't get a lot of chances, but he has taken advantage of this. One of the few interesting stories down at spring training is Garrett Stubbs, who's been a catcher. They've actually had him playing and learning how to play. Now, he does play. He's played very, very, very infrequently, but like second base. And I think they even said they were going to try him out in the outfield a little bit. Maybe they just want to try to get Stubbs and find a way and use some versatility there. The other story today on the mound was Jesus Luzardo, 3 2/3, gave up 5 hits and 3 runs, gave up a home run. Chase Sugart, who is battling for a spot in the Phillies bullpen, gave up 2 hits and 2 runs today. His ERA goes up to 4.05. Zach Pop is involved in a battle for the last pitching spot in that bullpen. He pitched well today, but we'll see what ends up happening with Pop. The one reason why he's still involved, he has not had a good spring. He has a guaranteed amount of money on the contract, so that is something to think about as well. So those are some of the stories from today's game for the Phillies as they take on the Blue Jays, and the Phils win that game 8-5. And Josh, we've only got, today is the 12th. We are 2 weeks from today, Phillies Spring Training. 2 weeks today, Phillies Spring Training. Well, Phillies opening day. Today is Thursday the 12th. Next week is Thursday the 19th, which is March Madness, by the way. And then the following Thursday, the 26th, we're going to be live at the Anchorage. It's opening day 2 weeks from today for the Phillies. Can you believe it?
I can't believe there's snow outside. That's what I can't believe.
Well, that to me is unbelievable. Now, Nugget sent me a picture.
He sent me a picture,
of
too.
the snow outside where he is. We don't quite have it like that here, right?
No, but it's still very wet and damp and all the non-fun stuff outside.
I don't want to even see it. I don't want to even think about it. But 2 weeks from today, opening day in Philadelphia. Now, I've always said for the years, I don't know how Major League Baseball can't figure out, like the Phillies are playing the Rangers. You don't think it's a smarter idea to put the games in? I mean, I get it. They're not they don't play the Rangers in a home and home, right?
No.
Like they don't play in Texas later on in the season. So this is it. So you figure it out. I mean, come on. You look at the schedule, the first week of the season, or the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, and you match up like you do in the NFL. You take the teams from the East, and they play against teams in the West, and you play out there, and the teams in the Central can play each other. Most of them have, like, domes or something like that. But, I mean, get the teams in the Eastern divisions out of the East in April. Unless you're Miami. Okay, Miami can host a game Okay?
Host a
Atlanta
game.
can host
They can host
game.
a month for all I care.
Exactly. So the first week of the year, you make sure, like, hey, let's go with the Orioles. You could play Miami or Atlanta, or excuse me, the Mets. You could play make sure the games are in the warm weather climates. I don't understand how they can't. That should be priority number one.
I think it's laziness. I feel like it's the same reason why the NBA keeps scheduling back-to-backs for teams. It's like it's not that you have to pack back-to-backs. You just don't really want to try that hard.
There should be no way that you need to play back-to-backs. I agree. I have mapped out many schedules where the team should not even be playing in October, November, December. Should not play any games on Mondays, Saturdays, Sundays, Thursdays.
To me, it's just laziness.
You just play for the first October, November, December of the schedule. You play Tuesday or Wednesday, not back-to-back, and everybody plays on Friday. Tuesday or Wednesday, and everybody plays on Friday. That's it. Because you don't go up against the NFL. So this way, it keeps these guys fresh. It keeps those games interesting. Like, hey, there's no football on tonight. Oh, there's a game. That's the way you do it. And then, as Steve Kerr, by the way, has said, he came out the other night and said that they need to cut 10 games off the schedule. He basically came right out and said, we need to cut 10 games off the schedule. It's too many games. The pace is too much. Can't keep up with it.
See, I only disagree with that for one reason. Why was it not too many games 30 years ago as too many games now?
Well, his reasoning is the pace of the games and everything are a lot different than they were 30 years ago. It's a lot more up and back. Those games back then were a lot more, the games are in the 90s. It's a slower slog pace. The pace is different.
Well, the pace was pretty high in the 80s.
It was. It was definitely a lot more.
Of course, in the 80s, you could actually almost you could basically WWE clothesline somebody on their way to the basket. You touch someone the wrong way, you're kicked out of the game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree that they need to. I think they should cut it down to 70 games. And
I tell you right now, if you have 0 back-to-backs, you build the schedule in a way, like you said, that is reasonable, has structure and stability. 82 games is no longer going to be, how are we going to manage it? It's going to just be, hey, we got 82 games. Like anything in life, if there's a way to make it easier and more functional, just do it. Stop complaining about what it is. Mike, we have jobs where we do way more than just talk on the radio. Do we get frustrated? Yes. Do we get annoyed with some of the things we're asked to do? But do we make the best of the situation? Yes, we do. I feel like these professional sports leagues, they're so big, they're so financially profitable, they've become lazy-brained, and they don't want to actually come up with solutions. They just want to cry about stuff.
Well, part of the problem is, I don't think it's that. It's the fact that because they make so much money, it's based on the fact that they do have 82 games. And that you got to keep in mind, too, listen, the back-to-back, I think you could figure out. They share arenas, a lot of them, with the hockey team, a concert, all of that stuff. So you are scheduling around, most of these teams do not have the building all to themselves.
Sure, but I feel like there's got to be a way to look at these schedules differently.
I do agree. For instance, opening weekend, baseball. Toronto plays the A's. Now, why the hell would they put that game in Toronto? You're playing the A's. Have that one be the game where you play in Sacramento.
Toronto.
And then, no, you don't want to play the game. Well, you can play in Toronto. They have a roof.
Yes.
So, okay, that one's fine.
Who
else
the Twins
is a
open
game?
the season with?
The Twins
The Twins have an outdoor stadium.
No, they're playing at Baltimore. Not ideal.
Not ideal. They should be playing Miami or Tampa or.
Here's one. Arizona is playing at the Dodgers. Although those two teams do not have to play against each other in the first week. Let Arizona host Minnesota and let Baltimore go to the Dodgers. Something like that, where they could find ways to keep these teams, maximize as many of the West Coast teams and the teams that have domes as possible,
right,
and keep them from playing. Pittsburgh doesn't need to play New York the first week of the season, right? You don't need Pittsburgh playing New York in the first week of the season when they're both in the Northeast, blah, blah, blah. Put Pittsburgh out in L.A. against Anaheim. Houston's hosting Anaheim. No need for that.
No.
That game can be played at any time.
Philadelphia can go to Houston and let someone else go to Anaheim.
Now, Philadelphia is obviously playing Texas. That game can't be in Texas because the way the schedule would be balanced is obviously they need those games to make 82 and 82, but who knows? I mean, there's definitely a more creative way they could do this. They're just hitting a button, spitting it out, and then kind of going from there.
Yeah, they got ChatGPT doing the schedule for them.
609-403-0973. I am crossing Tilton Road right now, and it looks like a blizzard. What time was that? 5:36. So that's happening right now. It looks like a blizzard on Tilton Road. Just what we need.
Great. Lovely.
Mike, I said 6 months ago about cutting 10 games off the schedule. It's not like you're losing that many games. So why are the owners not on board with that? Because that is 5 games of revenue that they will lose from their building. And parking, food,
It's also
beverages,
television revenue.
all of the merchandising, and yes, the television revenue, because NBC, Amazon Prime, ESPN, they have all paid for an 82-game schedule. So there's no way those teams are giving that money back and saying, we're going to play 70 games. Here's some money back for that.
Right. No one's going to turn around and tell Amazon Prime, you know what? You were so nice to give us $1 billion. Let's give you some of that money back.
Yeah, it's, in theory, it's like everybody just says, oh, cut 10 games. It's the CBA, all of that stuff.
I just think it's easier if someone had an honest conversation about, hey, has anyone actually sat down, looked at these schedules, and said, how can we eliminate these back-to-backs? I feel like there's more back-to-backs now than there used to be, or maybe I'm just paying attention.
No,
more.
I read something the other day, and I don't know that this is maybe I was wrong. I could have sworn I read that the Sixers are 13-3 on the back-to-back.
If that's the case,
Is
that's
that
wild.
possible?
What's the number? 16-3?
13-3.
13-3.
Have they played 16 back-to-backs? I know they played a lot very, very early, but I was like, wait a second. Wait, what? The Sixers have 13-3 on back-to-backs. I kind of found that hard to believe.
So this says 9-3.
When was that?
On March 10th, in an article from NBA.com, another article from Yahoo Sports.
So
the Sixers on the second night of a back-to-back are 9-3. They're winners of 8 of their last 9.
crazy.
They've played a total of 16 back-to-backs, the most in the NBA this season.
16 back-to-backs, that would be 13-3. 9-3 is not 16 back-to-backs. That's only 12.
Someone did their math wrong then here.
I saw 13-3.
Maybe it is 13.
I was like, that is. But that being said, I mean, nobody should be playing back-to-backs if you can, and you should be able to avoid it as much as possible. And if you're going to play back-to-backs, every team should have the same amount of back-to-backs. Although, on the flip side, some would say if you're 13-3 on the back-to-back, then why do we need to, what's the point?
Yeah, so as of March 10th, their back-to-back record was 9-3 heading into that game.
On what?
For March 10th. That was
2 days ago.
Tuesday. So before Tuesday's game, they were 9-3 on the second game of back-to-backs.
Shocking, right? Because most of the second game of the back-to-back, Embiid does not play.
Right.
So that's like a crazy part of that whole thing as well. Now, you said the Sixers tonight, that game is on Amazon Prime?
Yes.
Does that mean it's not on NBC Philadelphia?
They usually air it on a channel in the local market. Where's that remote? Do you have the remote over there?
If you have YouTube TV, yes, I know you get it on that. Like, it's like a proxy for Peacock.
Yeah, it's usually like Fox or something.
Oh, no, Flyers are on tonight.
Well, Flyers are on the regular NBC
Yeah,
network.
but the Sixers game is not on.
What I'm going to say, is it on Fox or, the regular channels? What used to be the regular channels. Your CBS, Fox, ABC, as we're scrolling up.
I think so. You got
a little farther.
I would say no. I don't think.
No, it's not there.
They're not going to put it on like a regular channel. Like the only thing I would say is it might be on that. You're talking about? No, it's on Prime, not Peacock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's why I'm thinking
if it's
that.
on Peacock,
Peacock is on NBC.
sometimes. Yeah, but tonight the game is on Amazon Prime.
Thank God I got Prime.
Well, I mean, I think you can go without watching the Sixers get lambasted by the Pistons tonight,
Good.
right?
Maybe I'll watch a documentary or something.
What do you go tonight? Sixers, Pistons, or Flyers at 8 o'clock, by the way?
Well, yeah, you could start like flipping on the Sixers just to see how much they're losing by, and then flip over to the Flyers.
According to Tony Jones from The Athletic, who covers the Sixers, Nick Nurse says the Sixers will be limited in the front court tonight. Yeah. Bona, by the way, is out, and it looks like Drummond was questionable, so doesn't look good. The spread was 15.5 the last time we looked.
Nick Nurse. I think we'll be limited tonight. No,
Yeah.
really?
Well, we weren't sure. We know Bona was out, but we didn't know about.
Well, we already knew guys were out. Like, why does Nick Nurse
No,
say
he
they
said
were
in the
limited?
front court.
Yeah, we already knew that. If you're without Bona and Embiid already, doesn't that mean that you're limited?
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess the other thing is Drummond was downgraded to questionable before.
Yeah, that's just called anemic.
Well, they're going to struggle tonight. You can listen to the game. It's a 15.5-point number tonight. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show. Get ready to get out of here on this Thursday. Flyers and Sixers tonight. Excuse me. Yeah, Flyers and Sixers. Flyers game is on our sister station, Rock 104.1 and the Rock 104.1 free mobile app. We'll close out the show coming up next. Hey, it's your last chance today to enter right now. 609-573-3776. Caller 7, your lucky number 7, and you have a shot to win a pair of tickets to go see the Phillies play the Orioles at Camden Yards in Baltimore this summer. We're sending one lucky winner. He'll have a pair of tickets, lower level seats. The seats will be all together in a lower level between left field and third base on the Phillies side of the field, sitting with a ton of Phillies fans. We'll provide sandwiches and pretzels and drinks for the ride down. You'll have all day to hang around the Inner Harbor and Baltimore. Caller 7 right now. You must be present to win at the Anchorage, 823 Bay Avenue in Summers Point for our Phillies opening day watch party. Caller 7, good luck. I'll talk to you tomorrow, everybody.